Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of LanceScurv. We had such a good time last night. It was phenomenal. There was a lot of information shared, a lot of camaraderie, and the good old times are here. We don't have to think about the past. We don't have to think about the future. The present is what we're going to enjoy every time we have our show. A lot of progress has been made, bumps and bruises along the way, but that's to be expected. But for those who rock with me, I rock with you. I just want to let you know that I'm here. I'm going to do that for you in a second, Mad Guns. For those who want to join the discussion, the link is pinned on the top of the YouTube chat. And I have a few things that I want to say first before we come on in. But there's a reason why I said, yeah, that name is going to stick, Lancinator, because a lance is a spear. So it makes a lot of sense. That's a sharp name, a Lancinator. I like that, brother. I'm going to wear that proud because you united me with that name. But I said in the title, is Kamala Harris nothing more than a political dookie stick designated to usher in the agendas of the shadow government? Now, granted, it's a kind of a heavy title, and it reeks of a conspiracy theory, of course. How could you not think this way? How could you trust everything put out to you in 2024 and even before? I think that the rude awakening came in 2020. And you're still stuck on stupid. Really, that it's like a game of chess. And we're not playing checkers. I mean, heck, so much of us are playing. Many years ago, about 23 years ago, coming on to about 20 years, there are many who thought I was a nutcase. And I'm not enjoying that I had an idea of the direction. I'm not a guru. I'm not sitting here to say, oh, yes, I predicted this, but anybody who's rocked with me for a while knows how my mind is. And I've been accused of being paranoid. I've been accused of being a conspiracy theorist, but I stick by my truth. And when things don't go a certain way and people say, hey, that didn't come true, I said, well, I didn't predict it in the first place. Yes, let me check my sound because I'm going through the phone, actually. I have to get a card for one of my modules so I can have the crystal clear sound again. But until, I gotta kind of go this way. And let me kill one of these screens here that did not work. Yeah, so it's not going to be that crystal clear sound that we usually have, but enough to understand. And if it does chop out, just let me know. And I know it's a bit scratchy, so let me just bring this phone a little bit closer. Like Charo. Remember that song from the 70s? Move it in like this, a little bit closer, you and me in ecstasy. You mentioned the name last night, Mad Guns, and it was like, wow, brings back memories. What was it, Casper Weinberger? Little things that stick in your head. And it's amazing how we've moved so fast into this particular time. And like I say, time is an artificial construct. I believe we can control time to a degree by how intense we are in the moment. And then if we let go and just let it ride, then it just passes by so fast. One of the things that I like to do is, thank you, Riri. And right, I don't claim, I'm not coming out here looking to be known for this and known for that. I just come out here and we chop it up, and I'm going to just be honest with you, what I see, and at the risk of looking stupid. And I'm not even concerned about looking stupid because there's no ego involved with this. To have ego over and above, because a healthy ego is a good thing, but to have that ego over and above and to the point of narcissism, that's a weight. I don't want to carry any weight at this particular point. Right now, I don't wear jewelry. I don't wear fancy clothes. I throw on my t-shirt, my Crocs, my shorts, go out there in the West African sun and just chill. People come up to me sometime that know me from cyberspace, and I'm humbled, but they expect me to be somebody who's got my nose up in the air, and I'm not rolling like that. I'm enjoying these years. I just have to say that. Diane, welcome on in. Riri, yes. Mad Guns, I'm going to acknowledge you all. Gina E, yes. Camel toe. Head not in sons, I see you. Glad you're here. I'm going to say the title again, and I'm going to explain why I made that title the way I did. Is Kamala Harris nothing more than a political dookie stick designated to usher in the agendas of the shadow government? Or just pieces on the chessboard, and they're all in cahoots with each other. And the bottom line, they all have roles to play. They're one big group wrestling. When you see different wrestlers swear they're going to hurt the other one, they'll even have their little bags of ketchup to make it seem like it's really blood. But at the end of the day, you see the wrestlers hanging out with each other in the restaurant, all-night restaurant, eating. I don't think anybody's going to really disagree that this is what happens here in politics, nationally, sometimes globally. But in America, the United States, it's just one repetitious cycle of nothing. They come out and they give you promises. They tell you what they're going to do, but all they do is do for self, and they don't care about the people. And like I always say, I don't need the president to cut my grass. I cut my own grass. I don't have any expectations of some man swooping down and doing for me what I need to do for myself. And that's the problem with many of us. We believe in this flawed system. Sure, you have a street light that's busted. You have a pothole that you keep running over down the road. Well, government at that particular point is a little closer and more accessible to where you can get things done. But the higher up you go, the more distant they are. And I'm tired of it. Not that I was a political person anyway and had high hopes and I'm disappointed. I was never disappointed because I was never into this thing like this. I just watched it from afar. It was something that I really didn't go into. But one of the reasons why I'm focusing in on this type of stuff now, and oh, thank you, Riri. Thank you so much. We have some heavyweights up in here tonight, though. And I learned from them. You're going to hear them, too, as they speak. But as time goes on, and I realize how they play with people's lives, how wars go on, but it's never with their children on the front line, how people are manipulated and life is not respected, how death is something that doesn't seem to bother them. Human life, when it's most of us as Black people on the front lines. You see, we're used as a tool. That's the age-old way of doing things in America that I spell with 3 Ks. We're used as a tool, remember that. And see, like I said, is she a political dookie stick designated to usher in the agendas of the shadow government? See, Kamala, these people don't love you. They don't love you any more than all of those Black men that you had put away for minor infractions and hid evidence. What goes around comes around. You don't like black men, and I think you don't like yourself. You disown your father, your black Jamaican father. And as I always say, and I've learned, I'm here in Ghana now, my father, I say is because his energy still exists, even though physically he's not here, so I'm not delusional. But my father is Jamaican. And he always told me that my lineage was in Ghana. And Mrs. Scurv, the same thing, who has a great-grandfather who is directly from Ghana, buried on family property named Yaya. I saw his gravesite when I went to Jamaica on her family land. So it's ironic that they would send Kamala Harris to come to Ghana. Oh, Gifty. Yes, Gifty Sine. Yes, yes, yes. And for all who are here, the link to come in is at the top of the chat room pinned. But isn't it something that they would use her, even though she doesn't acknowledge Africa or Ghana? She doesn't acknowledge her father, but all of a sudden she's black now, and before she was campaigning as an Indian. What a shapeshifter. But they would use her to come to Ghana. Of course I was here. I didn't see her. Ghana's a big place. I didn't know to the last minute. Not that I would have gone to want to see her anyway. But she came to talk to the president, to let him know that you need to embrace the LGBTQ community. And there's something of a sweetener in that deal if you do. See, Kamala, you don't think that they really love you. They use you for what they want to use you for. And now Joe Biden is basically stepping down. And pretty much you're going to be the president until November. Now, if they vote you in, and I don't know exactly how the process goes and what's happening right now up to the minute. So please, if you, or I say something wrong, just correct me if I'm wrong, you know? Oh my, Mad Guns, he says, has Montel ever given an interview about his time spent with Kamala? Well, you know, they say 6 degrees of separation. There's a couple things I'll mention on that real quick. I worked at an entertainment security company. I forgot the name, but a young lady named Charlotte Hitchcock owned it, and she was in politics. Very nice young lady. And I was the only one who wasn't in law enforcement at the time that was hired because I guess she liked the way I carried myself. But there were retired detectives and police officers that had to be suited down. You didn't know they were. So I was used at the People's Court, Curtis Court, crossing over with John Edwards. Those are shows from back in the day, but you remember the People's Court. And that's when Judge Mulan first came on. I met her several times. But I was downstairs with Harvey Levin, and there were 2 other guys who were bodyguards, and I was pretty much the smallest one, even though people said I was big. But I'm saying all this to say this, that when I worked at Crossing Over with John Edwards, I was sitting behind the desk as a receptionist, but they didn't know. People who came, they didn't know I was security, and I had permission to break some necks if I had to, because a lot of threats were issued to the producers of Crossing Over with John Edwards because he was supposed to be speaking to dead people. So there were a lot of radical Christian groups and other religious groups that made threats, but they didn't know where the offices were. I won't say where it was, but I know where the studios were, and it was like half a block away, okay? In the 50s, and that's on the west side. That's all I'll say. So below us, Montel, his staff and producers were there. And lots of times the producers from Montel and the staff and the accountants and different people, they would mix. It was one big happy family. They'd take breaks and come upstairs and talk to me. I'd get a lot of inside information on things that I won't repeat, but there's some things that I will. And Mad Guns, when you said that, it brought back so many memories. And so lots of times after everything was over, they'd say, hey, Lance, come on with us. I wasn't part of the staff, but I was like family because they got to know people and they wanted to find out about me and we would hang out. And there was a young lady that I hung out with back in those days that was an accountant for Montel. And she happened to like guys who shaved their heads bald that were black. And she was Latina, a lighter, not so much African, but she had African in her. And so Montel did not like me being near her because he was traveling. He had his other women, but he hooked this young lady up. That's all I'll say. We'll have a private conversation about that. And I know a lot of things about, you know, those situations, but I never used the platform to tear anybody down. But that's a funny dude. That's a funny dude. I'll say that. But, okay, let me see here what's being said. Okay. Well, what I mean to say is that the Dookie stick, for those who don't know, what is a Dookie stick? Hey, LanceScurv, I mean, I grew up a little different than you, and I know you have different ways of saying things, and you people communicate certain ways, and I heard this term before, but please let me know what the Dookie stick is, because you have it displayed prominently here in the title. Hit me on how you people talk. So that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, the Dookie stick is when you're in the street, you know, sometimes in the suburban area, sometimes in the urban area, right? And you want to play football. Girls want to skip rope or do hopscotch, but mainly it's baseball, football, or you're just playing crazy games of tag and you're out in the street when the car's coming, you got to back up a little bit. So you don't want dogs' feces in the area where you're going to be running, because it's a hell of a way to slide into home plate. It's happened to me, trust me. So you go off to somebody's yard or out in the street somewhere, and you break off a branch off a tree, a little branch, and you take that stick and you push the feces over, far over and away from where you're going to be playing. Now the stick has feces on it now, but it served its purpose. It has no more use. The Dookie stick must be eliminated and tossed away even further away than the feces. Because after the stick, which now is a Dookie stick, served its purpose, you want to get rid of it. And this is why I ask, is Kamala, and notice how I spelled it with the C-U-M. I could have said C-A-M, but I did that and spelled it the porno way for the transgressions that she's accused of in the past, climbing up the ladder in the political arena. But the Dookie stick, I feel she is being used as a woman who now claims to be black or a woman of color, because she's a shapeshifter, that she is the Dookie stick that's going to usher in some rough times in America anytime. And I've said this time and time again, and I think I might have said it last night. Oh, yes, and I want you in here too, Joe. We got the link up top to come on in. But anytime there's trouble and white folks have you nearby, they don't pay you no mind for nothing else. Oh, but we got to get the nigga now. Get the niggas. The nigga will save us. The nigga will be the Dookie stick. We don't like him any other time, but please save us with your super melanated nigga powers. So she's going to be the fall gal, not the fall guy, but the fall gal. Because if she takes some kind of power as the president until November, or she runs, or between now and November, look for a lot of things to happen. And guess who's going to take the blame? The Dookie stick, called Kamala Harris. That's her purpose, and she doesn't realize it. She knows that she's a narcissist. She knows that she's manipulative and sneaky and will do anything. She knows how to hold that mic, and she knows how to hold it well, because she's held a lot of mics in her life, which I'm not going to be angry if you're dealing with somebody, but you can't hold everybody's microphone. You can't put everybody's microphone near your throat, near your lips. And a couple of times I saw in her pantsuit, and the knees were dirty. What did she finish doing? You know, you got to keep it comical. Designated to usher in the agendas of the shadow government. Too many people believe that, oh, I'm going to vote for Biden. I'm going to vote for Trump. No, It's something more than that behind. That's why I have them dudes in the background behind the half-naked woman that, represents Kamala. I had to put that element in there. The shadow government. Can I tell you who they are? I don't know. But anybody with a modicum of intelligence must know that the president, whoever they are, may have a bit of power to do light things, but they're not the ones who are really making decisions. They're not the ones. Who are the people pulling the strings, who make money off of both sides of the war? Who are the people who have infiltrated the government? Even though, the people that Kanye West had a problem with, that when I found out how many of them have political seats in the government. And when Netanyahu came the other day, or he arrived the other day because he wasn't with Kamala, maybe he would have come then, right? They were saying that he's the real leader of the United States. I want to hear from whoever wants to come in. Now, I know Mad Guns, you want to come on in. I'll also drop the link in the room for those who may be on a phone and can't see it pinned to the top, or maybe you're on a different platform. I'll put the link to come on in. You're welcome to come on in. I'll keep chatting until you come on in. But I want to chop it up. And Brother Mad Guns, Joseph Harden, Gina, yes, I see you. Gina E, you can come on in too. Gifty, Riri, whoever. Let's have a nice discussion tonight, and we don't have to hold back. Had Not and Sons, or whoever is here, because we have 25 people here, and Reese, Diane, but we have a whole lot of people hiding behind the tree. What's he going to say tonight? How are we going to talk about him? Listen, look, you can vote for whoever you want to vote for, because really it doesn't matter, but she is going to be the face of the disasters that are going to happen. Oh yeah, we're gonna keep it on for you there, brother. We're gonna keep it going. If you're somewhere where you can't, if you're somewhere where you can't really talk, it's cool. That's not a problem at all. Yeah, but mark my words, this is what I will say. If she's in charge, they're gonna slip a lot of things happening up under her, and then she's gonna really take the blame. But I just don't understand how American African people, that's the way I say it, aka black people, aka melanated people. So many things are going on in the world, and we're sitting here still rolling around in the dirt like a tranny and a trans and this and that without our own identity issues. We can't even decide what we're called. I mean, what were we back in the day? Colored, Negro, Afro-American, African-American, black. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. So what happened? We got our own issues. And this is 2024. And they're pulling the cloak over our eyes with all of these distractions. This is a distraction. There are things already decided, written in stone. They know the date. They know the time. They always have their social experiments. Okay, let the grid go down a little bit. Let's see how they react. Let's have social distancing. Social distancing? Listen, I'm out here, and when I lived in a crowd, because I'm on the outskirts right now, I'm not going to say my exact location. I don't want to have to blow anybody away. Come visit me unexpectedly. But we have the Trochos. These are vans where they squeeze so many people in there, you feel like a sardine when you're traveling. And people are coughing, sneezing. Ain't nobody got no, I almost said the C word. But these people out here, it was what they claimed was a low percentage. And the foolish thing about it is, with all of this fresh air, all of this good sun, all of this good food, you still had people who believed the propaganda. And to this day, you still see some breathing in their exhale, making themselves sick because anything they say, anything the media says, anything that don't look like you, that comes on the TV and sounds official. You have to believe it. But your God, who gave you the herbs, the vegetables, the fruits, the leaves, the juices, the nectar, the things growing under the ground, the things growing in your face, and the things growing up high up on the tree. Powerful stuff made for your body. But you're going to turn around and put a poison inside of you. Like the poison is going to make you well. To protect you from the poison that they gave you. Spraying in the air. And here's something I wanted to say that could possibly happen under her watch. And I saw this from a forwarded video on Instagram. And I'm going to say it again, and I said it yesterday. And I'm going to use the same analogy that this individual used. How do you think they're going to get it? So one of the ways, when they speak of this thing that you see on, what is it, Stonehenge in Georgia? And when they speak about so much of the population being gone, wiped out, but didn't they also say that in the Bible? That a great amount of the people of the earth are going to be wiped out. I'm going to say it like this. I'm going to say it the street way. Yo, I know that book has been tampered with, but I find myself referring back to it more and more. Looking through the parts that are tampered, because you can kind of pick up when you write with yourself on the inside. You're like, that's something that's been tampered with, but I see the truth in it. Some people say, well, they planned this and now they're only acting out what they planned. I don't think so. I don't think there's nobody from 2,000 years ago saying, well, 2024, this is what we're going to do. I don't think they're that smart. Exactly, Gifty. They used Obama to usher in the alphabet empowerment and to delete Gaddafi. I got to start popping some of these comments up on the screen so everybody can see it. You know, look at that. That's true. And we're being herded like cattle. But here it is. Heavy metals, y'all. Heavy metals in the food that we don't even pay any mind. Heavy metals. Why was it that at that time when we had to wear the mask and we had curfews, because I was in Orlando, Florida at the time, and if you were outside, you better be going to a job, you better be coming back from a job, you better have a good reason if you're going to the pharmacy, if you're sick, to be outside in the street. They did not want people out there when they were putting in those 5G towers. They didn't. What was going on that you couldn't see? I mean, you're putting up a tower, you're putting up a tower. Couldn't you do that in the daytime? Why at night? Right? There's a whole lot of things swirling around in my head when I think about this thing. When I saw that video, it made a whole lot of sense. Because if they use those towers to emit microwaves out, and here we are with our heavy metal having cells, heavy metal in our body, we're going to burn up like a piece of aluminum foil in the microwave. And who are you going to blame? Not Ghostbusters. Who are you going to call? That's a good way of wiping us out. So in order to avoid that, let's take these heavy metals out of our diet. It's not easy. We're so caught up in the food that we eat, the food that they put out, the food that's not even food anymore. And here's another thing I wanted to speak about last night. Where's Joe Biden? Where is he? Well, quite naturally, we saw him last night speaking. Yeah, shut up. Who was standing next to him? Whose hand did he shake? He was in a controlled environment behind a desk with a mic and a camera in front of him, speaking in measured tones. To me, he could have been somewhere off in a room at gunpoint trying to fight with people. I'm still the president. I'm not giving up. Shut up. That was AI. I'm going to be bold and say it. You got to prove to me that that was not artificial intelligence and the technology that they have to have that man make a speech. Come on, y'all. I had a picture or a video of my face sent to me saying certain things, singing a song. It was some kind of sample thing, and a person sent it to me, and it was amazing. And you could tell it wasn't real, right? You can tell it wasn't real. But check this out. If they give us that, and it looks so real, what do they have? And even then, Biden did not look real. I'm on the computer a lot. I'm online a lot. I'm no better or no smarter than anybody who's here. But I know it when I see it. I'm an artist. I got a good eye for stuff like that. It did not look right. Show me him walking through the crowd. The whole crowd could be fake. But to me, maybe he is snuffed or corralled off somewhere against his will because he doesn't fit the agenda of what they have planned for the short time that Kamala Harris might be in. And this is going to be such a big thing because we have people who are sworn, a lot of our own sisters, the cargo hustler. Yes, welcome on in. Renee Green, welcome on in. Yeah. And the back, yeah, exactly. The background was green screen. Exactly. Sometimes when I show my face, I do green screen over here. I mean, it's not the same sophisticated stuff that they have. And you can tell it's fake, but I'm not trying to front like it's not. If I want to have a different visual behind me. But in my heart of hearts, that was not him. They just wanted a clean break. The conspiracy theories were going around, and they wanted to show his face so that the people wouldn't continue. Okay, that's Joe Biden. But where is he now? Maybe he could have gone to a dinner and spoke or some kind of luncheon, or why don't we see him? Maybe it's too soon to speak on that because they say he is ailing. But how do you go from ailing and running for the presidency? And that could be grueling. Now you're traveling, you're flying around. Now you have a doctor that's with you. You're being fed. Your blood's being checked, your blood pressure. You know, if you feel a little funny way, you tell him he's being cared for. Because if he was any old regular Joe in the street, he wouldn't be doing what he does, even though he stepped down pretty much, because we wouldn't have those luxuries of having a person to be by our side to check up on us like that. So they get more mileage out of themselves. But now, too many people are waking up. Too many people are getting hit, even with the distractions that they're putting out there. Those people in the shadows, they can see we need to amp this thing up because too much information is going out there. We gave them social media to keep them entertained, titillated, and distracted. But there's a lot of powerful stuff that goes against our agendas that's getting out there. So now we have to hunt them down. The truth tellers must be silenced or reduced or shadow banned. It's their show. It's their rule. It's their platform. And the bottom line, Brother Bowles, welcome on in. Welcome on in. Dre Day, yes, indeed. Elder abuse, you're right. You're right. And he's stubborn and didn't want to step down. How do you go from not wanting to step down, all of a sudden you're going to step down? Even though deep down he had to know that he had some issues. And it was becoming something that was being amplified more and more in the media. But like I was saying, too many people were getting powerful on social media with their platforms. I'm a little guy. You had some big ones out there, and you still do. But if something happens with their platforms, they're so big, more people will take notice. You know, you got Joe Rogan, who was on YouTube, and they got him off. And you got to deal with Spotify, but not everybody is that big. And you have other notables whose names I just can't recall. I can see the faces. And you have the ones in the medium range who know how to play the rules, because see, in this social media game, especially at this time, when you can have free speech to a point, you got to know how to deliver that speech. There's a lot of minefields out there, traps. You got AI patrolling cyberspace now. It's not humans just anymore looking through videos and listening to videos to see if somebody says something wrong or to follow up on a complaint. No, AI is all up in our backsides. The minute you go, they know you about to sneeze. True. They got you. That's the way it works. Sweet Berry, welcome on in. See, we got to know that the only way for us to survive is to detach. And it's very hard because you look, it's like a little toy, your phone. You carry it with you all the time. Your mind is working different now. As soon as you're about to fall asleep, you think about something and you say, let me just check out this song or look at this old show or let me see what's happening on the news. It never stops. It has arrested our mind. But we can't even see the reality around us. Many of us are walking around handicapped. And that's where they want us to be. They want us handicapped, where we can't do for self. And yes, we can. Yes, we can. But if you mess with the engine of a vehicle, how is it going to go and move and take you around? If you blur the eyes of a driver, how's that car going to move when you can't see where you're going? You understand? So it's a funny time, and we are not as effective as we should be. If you brought the people from prior generations and dropped them right into this time, they would read this whole time period like a cheap novel because they had a connectedness. They had a discernment, and it's not about religion, but they were more connected on a spiritual level. They held themselves accountable more. Yeah, you had crime. Yeah, you had people creeping with people's husbands and wives. You had all of that stuff. You had homosexuality. You had all drug addiction, all of that stuff. War, all of that stuff. But come on, not to this magnitude, where the whole planet is at a standstill. It is. China telling the United States, you better not mess with us if we go after Taiwan. Stuff in Iran, UK, Ukraine. Come on now. Israel. All over the world. Why? Why? Because we feel as though we're a God beside God. I'll say God. 3 letters, y'all. Oh, you trying to be a preacher? No. But the older you get, you got to realize, and you will realize, you ain't running nothing. Let a couple years go by, and you realize you ain't even controlling your bladder. Them couple drops come out when you get close to the bathroom. And don't have to wear Depends. And you realize that you're not running nothing at all. It's a very humbling experience. And yes, I'm not talking about myself. If it happens, I'll admit, but it ain't happening yet. No Depends for me. But when you get a little old, you begin to see immortality. You begin to see how fast time has passed. Again, I was always too busy to have a midlife crisis, but it's shocking when I say, boy, I'm going to collect Social Security in a couple months. Isn't that something? In my mind, I'm 20 years old. I'm more mature, but in my mind, I can do everything I can do until I got up in the middle of the night to go to the restroom. And you know, we got construction going over here, and there was some big planks of wood for the scaffolding to get to the ceiling. I didn't see it. I got up out the bed. I didn't realize that all I had on was a t-shirt. You know, we got workers here for the next couple of weeks. I stepped on that wood and gravity took over. Scarred up my leg, bruised up my elbow. And you know, when you're getting older, I'm not old now, but I'm not dumb. You don't just jump up after you fall. I sat there for a second in the same position, made sure, wiggled the toe, made sure everything was all right. I was all right. A little bit of blood, but I was all right. But what makes these people who are in power so hungry for this thing called power? And when you really look at it, is it really power? I mean, it's a brief thing. Look at Biden. Thought he was in power. Power over what? Brother Bowles, welcome on in. We have some others coming in, but I want to hear what you have to say about the political dookie stick called Kamala Harris.
Well, you know, they say, Lance, when you throw a rock in a pack of dogs, the one that makes the noise is the one that got hit. You know, sometimes, you know, I'm trying to, well, first of all, Lance, Brother Lance, greetings to you and greetings to the listeners.
Oh, most definitely greetings, brother.
You know, as long as I live, sometimes I think, you know, one thing happened, I'm like, you know, you can't make it up. But then something else surprises you the next day,
even
or,
more.
you know, even more, you know. So when I look at, like, in order for these kind of people to get in office, the society must be very or extremely demoralized. So
exactly.
when I look at these politicians, like when I look at like the Joe Bidens of the world, the Kamala Harrises of the world, even to some degree somebody like Trump, you really start to say, you know what, if people believe this stuff, people support these individuals. But then again, when you can pass around a lot of money, you pass around millions of dollars, you can get people to go into a room with a gun and kill their own parents, you know. So,
yep.
You know, it's just the mindset of the politicians. It's almost like they can't lead anymore. It's like it's become, politics has become a big reality TV show.
Wow, you're right.
You know,
blurred lines.
Yeah,
the lines are blurred.
Yeah, the politicians, they have become social media influencers. I saw Kamala Harris, a video of her back in 2020. She was dancing somewhere in a restaurant, getting down. You know, you wouldn't even expect that kind of behavior from a politician. You know, you expect that from maybe a common person. You know, a common person, but not a politician. Somebody's supposed to be educated. Somebody's supposed to be have traveled the world and not just know domestic politics, but international politics. And you see them acting like a clown, a buffoon. You can't make this up.
Well, I mean, you know, they have to look at their own clips too, you know, they're human, right? And they get the same rush. I mean, of course, when they're on TV acting presidential and acting a certain way, but it's like it was said to me last night that even now, these, you know, back in the day, and it's true, you had to have a certain way you carried yourself. Now, it's like anything goes. It's like social media leaders. I mean, back in the day, it was a very serious thing to be a president. The way they acted, at least, you could lose your life. You know, you led people. So supposedly, the decisions you make can kill off a lot of people, and it was a serious thing. I mean, the stern faces and Secret Service and whatever. Now, everybody wants to be the star. And when you look at the Kamala Harris and how she came up, because look, even though they say she's 60 or 60-ish or whatever, the last 20 years, see, you got to subtract the last 20 years off of anybody's life to determine how much social media has influenced their life. Now, if you're 25 years old, it's your whole life. And it's not as bad, because those who are younger, those who are 30 years old, who grew up with it from single-digit ages, they know how to handle it better. It's the people who are up in my age group and coming up in yours and Kamala's and the 60s that so they get when they were in their 40s, pretty much. Those who dipped and dabbed. Look, I always say this example. Look at the woman who was acknowledged probably as being a plain Jane. Nice lady. She dolls herself up, goes to church, and looks nice. But
Mhm.
never was she considered to be on the front cover of a magazine, right?
Mhm.
She had a
Mhm.
husband who loved her. She had children who loved her. And she had her life that was pretty much predictable. She had a little part-time job. Not her father, but her husband was doing really good. So now
Mhm.
the husband transitions for some reason, and she finds herself at 50 years old without her husband. Social life is not expanded because it was all about church and family, and that was it. So she
Mhm.
reaches out to some friends, or some friends tell her, listen, get on Facebook, talk with us. We can have a good time. And she does it. And it adds a little, light in her life to fill in the void of her husband, which really that she can't fill it, but it draws her
Mhm.
to it. Now, she puts up a little picture because at first I don't feel right about putting my picture. So it's a little blank space. So now she puts up a picture. Now she gets into it. She sees what her friends are doing. Oh, yeah, I went here shopping today. I went on vacation,
Mhm.
and people are commenting and strangers are commenting. And wow, she finds herself being seduced into the world of social media. Now, it's been about 15 years since her husband passed away. And we have bodily functions, desires, and urges because we're in our body. But she
True.
ignores those things.
True.
She's not that kind of woman. Some people think that way. So
Mhm.
there's somebody that she doesn't know that wants to friend request her. And she thinks,
Mhm.
well, I don't want to not add him in because I might know him. So she adds him in. And he tells her, I think you're extremely beautiful. I really think you're attractive. And you know what? I don't live too far from you. I'm in the next town over. That's about 40 miles away. I know that we might never meet, but I always dream of the time because you remind me of somebody near and dear to me. And she goes to bed that night and she's like, wow, that felt kind of good, but she felt guilty
Mhm.
because of her life. And now she feels a stirring in her loins after a couple times that this man talks to her.
Mhm.
And she goes to one of her girlfriends, grown woman, but we say girlfriends. And I have
Mhm.
to clarify heterosexual girlfriends because undercover carpet munchers out there,
S-
not knocking it,
somebody
but
might.
that's what
Somebody might misconstrue what you said. Girlfriend. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the one she confides in, the one that convinced her to buy that battery operated boyfriend for when it's kind of cold and lonely at night. Girl, go ahead. Go ahead and meet him. You ain't got nothing to lose. Your husband, look, the Bible say if your mate dies, you have the right to meet somebody else in your life. But she still feels guilty. But she goes ahead 3 weeks later and meets the man and has a nice time. He's respectful. He treats her right, didn't try anything funny, and that further intrigues her. So the batteries in the battery operated boyfriend are running down because her thoughts are racing. But what I mean to
Mhm.
say with all of this is that when you're in those age groups where social media is introduced to you when you are already an adult for 10 or 15 or 20 years, that's a dangerous place, more so
Mhm.
than
Mhm.
those who grow up in it now. So
Mhm.
you see a Kamala Harris who's already, I would say, and I'm not a person who's a psychotherapist, but I would say she's a narcissist. I would
Mhm.
say she is a sociopath. I would
Mhm.
say she's manipulative. I would say she uses her. Now, she's not the epitome of what I would think. Oh, Kamala. Oh, you're so gorgeous. You're so pretty. But she does have an above average kind of flair to her, even though I can't stand her.
Yeah.
For somebody 60 years old,
Especially when she was younger, like when she was in her 20s and her 30s.
exactly,
She
exactly.
had that. She had. She had that flair. We
Yeah,
gotta give
I
credit
can
where
put those
credit's
things
due.
aside and,
Yeah.
and, and give that to her. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I was joking with a friend of mine, and I'm off the chain sometimes, but I'm not gonna repeat everything I said. But
Mhm.
I did my Mike Tyson voice, and I'll try to alter the joke, and I'm gonna let you go and have the floor after this. But
Mhm.
I use Mike Tyson's voice like this. I'm trying to clean it up before I say it. Well,
if I met Kamala Harris when she was in her 20s, you know, because I'm up there too, you know, yeah, I can't stand her. She's one of those chicks that I would have met. I would have hated her, but if she bent over, I would have tore it up and still hated her after. But I would have loved it. That's what,
You got him down pat. For a minute, I thought that was Mike. I was like, oh, come on, Mike, don't be so cruel.
Back in the day when me and my old girlfriend ran this beauty parlor, I had left a voicemail using Mike Tyson's voice, and people were like, oh my God, because I lied on it.
If you come on Saturday at 2 o'clock, I'm going to be here to sign autographs and take pictures. And so,
man, that beauty salon was packed. And they were like, where's Mike Tyson? I pointed at myself. I said, it was me. They're like, oh, man, you messed me up. But go ahead, man. What you think about this?
Well, you know, I mean, you know, like, I agree with you that we are human beings. We're human. You know, we have needs, we have wants. And like somebody like Kamala Harris, like she said, back in the day when she was in her 20s, her 30s, maybe part of her 40s, I mean, she was a pretty decent looking woman. You know, I'm not even if you look at somebody like Hillary Clinton, I mean, I was never attracted to her, but I'm saying even when she was a younger woman, respectfully, you know, she was attractive in her own way, naturally. I mean, you know, we being just being men and being realistic.
Right.
You know, I just think that with Kamala Harris, I just think she has some trauma from her youth as it relates to her parents, as it relates to the civil rights movement with racism. And she seems like a very vindictive person. She seems like the kind of person she always want revenge. You know,
and she's not going to forget. If you did something to her in the 3rd grade, she's going to remember it.
Because she's always like, I was that little girl. That was me. That was me. That was me. And so she's always this me. It was me. It was me. Yeah. And I listened to her and I'm like, man, this woman has had some damage, some psychological, emotional damage. Yeah. And I have heard that she had some damage when she was in Canada. Something else happened to her. You know, in terms, I have heard. You heard that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
really traumatic.
Yeah. And you take all of that mixed up in the pot, and you see her personality now, man, and she's like, I mean, her whole legal career has been a prosecutor, prosecuting. You know,
you said
this has been her career.
Prosecuting.
No, not prosecuting. Well, I mean, we won't go there just yet. Political.
I meant to say that.
Nah, we won't. You know, we won't be disrespectful, even though we may be kind of truthful, but we won't do that. You know, we're going to be respectful. Not prosecuting. That's been her career. And just like Judge Joe Brown said, you never vote for a career prosecutor because all they know, just like the brother that was on death row. I mean, they were literally going to execute this brother, and the governor had to step in. He literally had to step in, and they found some evidence that had Kamala's office tried to block, and they got their brother off death row. He was innocent, based on the evidence.
Wow.
You notice something. You notice since she's been kind of like the person to take the realm
thrust into the limelight.
You notice they never like talking about her past. They have been trying to keep her past out of the political debates. You know, the political discussions.
Right. They notice some.
They don't ever talk about her. Yeah, of course. Of course. Well, I'm a woman of color. Okay, well, okay, women of color are beautiful. Okay, so what's next? Are you qualified?
Well, let's be real. We know that many who, I'm not going to say all, but culturally, this is what I want to know. Okay. She despises her father, a man who is a university professor, or he is somewhere on that level.
At Stanford or something like that.
Yeah, maybe he could have been a creep in his personal life. I don't know. But this is something I do know. That many Indians from India, you think we're color conscious over here. What? Over there, a lot of them do not like anything that they consider black, even if it's another Indian. Oh, yeah.
They'll use the N-word on one of their own over there who is just as dark as the hair that they grow. So with what happened between, and I'm only speculating now, with what happened between the mother and the father to not be together, and Kamala ends up in Canada, like what was that all about? She didn't stay with the mother. Maybe the mother was in Canada. The father stayed in Jamaica. She despises the father, who is a professional man. Is she subconsciously prosecuting her father every time she does a black man bad? Because let me tell you something. If she comes into power, even I'm glad I'm over here, and I'm still scared for the brothers and the sisters over there. The same ones who are going gung-ho. Oh, yes, we have to vote for her because she's a woman of color. No, you don't do that.
That's right.
You go and you vote for the person who you think is best for the job.
That's
She's
right.
just glad to be in there. She's like that little kid in front of the 5 and dime store in that little car that just moves up and down, who feels like he really driving a car. She is not fit. Look, I'll take Biden for 6 more months if he messes up a little speech here and there. At least he has a team around him. He can do certain things. But her, she will be a little bitch up in that White House. Trust me. And she gonna make the world feel her pain. I was that little girl. Who cares? I care about abuse, yes, and trauma. But when you're talking about becoming a person who's gonna lead the whole nation, which we know, again, there are shadow governments. No, you can't bring them kind of idiosyncrasies into play. And you cold-hearted, vindictive. No, you can't do that. And we know that we've had white men who are presidents and others who may have been that way. But this way she is, she's a walking, talking time bomb. And she's going to have to take all the weight. She's laughing now, but what they have for her under her watch, she's going to realize that she is the Dookie stick, but she doesn't realize it yet.
She's going to be worse than Nancy Pelosi.
Pelosi 3.0.
Yeah. She's going to be like, if she gets in office, she's like, oh, she's going to be sitting behind the Oval Desk and everything, rubbing the desk, you know. And she says, I'm going to spread some of my political capital. I'm going to arrest everybody in America.
Yep. Oh my God.
She'll be sitting behind the desk saying,
martial law, FEMA camps.
Oh, man. Yeah. Blackouts.
Literally.
She said, talk about, forget about 5G. I'm going 200G all the way. We're going to go.
We're going to hurt all the hoods.
Oh my God. Talking about the Running Man. People are going to be running to get up out this country. They're like, oh, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I'm going to arrest everybody in America. Starting now. Executive order. I'm going to arrest everybody in America.
All the Walmarts will be full.
Yeah. All of them. No Walmart, no Kmart's. All the 5 and dime stores closed. I'm arresting everybody in America. Everyone. Right now. You know. And you see her, sometimes she sounds like she's intoxicated.
Well, I mean,
like she turned up a few, you know, before she came to the podium.
Yeah.
You know, she
I can
hit a
see
few
her.
lines.
I mean, she's human, you know. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not making excuses for her, but you should have a way of carrying yourself in a professional way. Because this is a day where everybody's a paparazzi. See, they used to worry about the paparazzi back in the day, but everybody's a paparazzi. You pick your nose the wrong way, and it's going to be on that nightly news on where you wipe the booger. Trust me, you can't get away with anything.
You know, Lance, I'm glad you brought that up about her Indian background, because she's a Brahmin Indian. And Brahma, if you, I mean, that belief system is so crazy. I mean, it's no wonder it's only in India, because it's a crazy belief system. The system, you talk to these people, and I mean, you really drill them on what they believe. Their belief system is all over the place. And you can have a person in India, the Brahma being the top, the people who are at the top. And that the darker skin, depending on where you fit within that caste, even if a person is out there cleaning up the Dookie, in the street from the dung from the goats and the cows.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to go to college, get an education to improve themselves, the Brahmin said, no, you're not supposed to. Your place in this society is to be out there cleaning up the number 2 off on the road. That's your whole lot in life. And these, yeah, it's a crazy. You think white supremacy is insane? I mean, this Brahmin belief system. I'm telling you, you go study it. You say, no wonder it's a belief system that is only popular within India.
Can only be there. Sweet D. Yeah. It can only be contained there. But see, when they come elsewhere, they got to contain that bad boy. You know what I mean? Because they're not the most physically strong people in the world. And I've seen them, you know, almost catch a beat down with a little smart mouth because they felt superior to black men. You know, they get the Dunkin' Donuts and the newsstands and stuff. Now you have some who could be cool, but that arrogance when it comes out, you know, little bellies they got, they skinny and walking like they in 4 feet of grass and walking in one line and, you know, oh yeah, pow!
He hit my eye. He hit me. My eye. He hit me in my eye.
I remember I was at the red light, and this was on Van Wyck Expressway and Liberty Avenue, 2 blocks from where I live. And this guy had road rage or something. Way back up the road, he had gave me the finger for some reason. I gave him the finger right on back. I ain't gonna lie. And here we are at the light. He came out the car. It scared me because I'm driving. I look to my left and I see him standing over me. His hands were clear, but he was pointing at me and cussing me out. And then he poked my hand so hard, and he was out of his car, and the light turned green. Well, I grabbed his wrist. You gonna run in tonight, bro? I drove off, nice and slow. You let me go, please let me go. What are you dragging me for? I said, well, you're a Billy Badass. Come on, man. Let's see how fast you can go. Let's set a record tonight. And before he's about to stumble, I was going fast. I didn't go lie. I let him go.
Were you working? Were you on a job, or were you just driving your car?
I was just driving my vehicle.
Okay. Wow.
And around that time, you know, in that area, Richmond Hill, you had a lot of Indians who are from Guyana, but not necessarily from India. You know, it's like black folks from the Caribbean that never saw Africa, but, you know, they're black. They're transplanted Africans, but they have their own culture. So the more and more that moved into Richmond Hill and they took over after crack wiped out that part of Richmond Hill that I lived in, there was an arrogance now because it's power in numbers. And, you know, they started to own more businesses and have more political power. And black folks at that time, pretty much that generation that was knocked out by crack, they blew it. They honestly blew it. It could have been utopia for us there, but, you know, that was traumatic to me to see how fast something could change, you know. And then you have people you think, like a Kamala Harris, who in her positioning, not that she is the best person for certain things, but you look to these people, and this is not a rant on all black women, but I'm going to tell you as a black man what hurts. When you carry yourself decent, when you carry yourself with love in your heart, and in the public, not even in passing, but you're in a situation where you have to deal and you're being dealt wrong. It could be in a retail situation. It could be corporate America. And you see a sister that may be present and you look to her for some kind of support. Not that she's going to fight for you. And then she turns around and looks at you like you're the worst piece of garbage on the face of the earth. And you realize physically she's a black woman, but mentally she's one of them. That's something that hurts. And I would never do that to any of my sisters out there, no matter what level they found themselves on. I've always been not what they say, Captain Saberho, because I wouldn't call my sisters that, but who will look out and stand up for what's right. Because if you're out there doing some ratchet stuff, I can't step in.
But if we have to step up as a community. It doesn't mean you have to be back where your house is or your condo or your apartment. Oh yeah, I can protect you now. But as we're out on the highways and byways, out in the world, we have to see each other this way. But too many of us do not do that. Many other people do, but we don't do that. And it's sad because we need to display that type of unity. And we're so quick to go against each other. And watch with this particular election, if she's there to be elected or as she's there now, there's going to be a lot of people who are delusional about her because of the power that they want to have like her, which she doesn't really have any power. Let her mess up the wrong way. They're going to get her on out of there. Most of them people up there don't even want her in there.
No.
Even Obama couldn't go and say, hey, you know, I back her up for being. No, he ain't gonna say it. He knows the plan.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that about Obama, because from what I've heard recently, the people who are really supporting Kamala are the Clintons, the Clinton wing of the Democratic Party. But the Obama wing of the Democratic Party, they don't really care too much about her. Obama, you know, Michelle, from what I've been hearing, they don't really care that much about her at all, you know.
Right.
But because of this woke culture, they're gonna. The key thing I think is gonna be with her to get her over is the narrative, because they can't push her record. Her record is just too tainted. And I think they can't really, if you really push her, say, okay, Kamala, okay, well, you're Indian, a woman of Indian descent, and okay, fine. But let's look at your record. I think that's where they're going to try to deflect from, and they're going to focus on emotional stuff. Well, I'm a woman of color, and I went to a historical black college, and I did this and I did that. Half Indian. My husband is a person that Kanye West, one of those people that Kanye West talked about. But they're not going to deal with her record, because her record, and she'll say, well, because I heard it, I've seen her do this. Well, I've made some mistakes in my career. I did some things maybe should have been done differently, but she's always trying to pivot away from what she did in the past.
Yeah. Well, she's going to have to hear that Teddy Pendergrass song. You can't hide from yourself. She's going
to be like, oh, Shiva, Brahma, LanceScurv hit me in the eye. My eye swollen. He broke my arm. My arm is broken.
Look at him, big black Negro. I wouldn't have a chance. He has scars on his hand. Look at him. His pinky is broke. He's fighting.
It's broken. He's ruined my new
suit. The size of his head. His head is so huge. I was scared when I saw him.
I thought he was Mike Tyson. I thought it was Mike Tyson. It was him and Mike Tyson. There's two.
It was two.
It was two of them. Two of the Negroes. I don't know.
He's intimidating. Look how he's looking at me.
Oh, so.
I thought he was going to hit me. They think the worst of us. I get that look all the time. Like, oh my God, I gotta cross the street. I'm like, man, in 20 years, I'm like 81 years old. How am I gonna be so, you know, I don't see myself, you know what I mean? Like, come on.
Right.
I can act like that on command, but normally I'm like, la, 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 la. Come on. Like I walk around like a, what do they call it? A super predator.
Uh-huh.
That's because they messed up on what they did to us. They expected to come back to them.
Oh,
the mindset.
The LanceScurv. He hit me. I have witnesses. It's just you and him there. He talking about he got witnesses.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Right,
Lance,
right.
I still can't. Not to change the subject, but I can't get over that thing that you had up there yesterday. Now you know that thing. That thing needs some help.
Which
The one that was trying to argue with the sister up
oh
there in New
yeah,
York.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Now yeah.
But there's so many of them out there. Let me tell you something. It's not just a New York thing, but that arrogance and in that part of the city, I think it was like, I should have seen the sign. I think it was like East 9th Street or somewhere, but anywhere. That was Lower Manhattan. And there's a special, I'm not saying like it's good, but there's a special type of white gay arrogance / racism that exists. And they don't like black folks. And they will let you know. So for all of these people who are trying to embrace these types, I'm not saying everybody's like that, but you have them that you better not come near them. And this is what a lot of gay black folks learn the hard way. They have their own version of the nigga wake up call, where they feel, oh, we have this camaraderie together because we're all gay, we're all under the rainbow, and they think that's it. Shoot. They ain't coming over to your side of town to protest something that happened when your little brother got shot, but you over there on a rally, LGBTQ, holding hands with them, and what they are to them, like I said before, they're a little black spot on the sun today.
Hey,
that's
Lance,
what they are. A token.
As you were saying that, as you were saying that, I was thinking about one of them talking to a black one now. They say, now, Leroy, let's get something straight. I'm not Tamika, okay?
I am not one of your people. I'm not of that pedigree.
I'm not one of your people. So I'm not a person of color. So let's get that out the way right now.
They make that word color seem like you got about 8 letters in it. Color.
Yeah, color. I understand what your people been through, but I've been through much worse.
And I hate when they try to compare that rainbow thing with black folks. I despise it. And they do it to us all the time, and we always help whoever it is out, and we're left on the other side of the wall. What do I mean by that? We cup our hands together and say, hey, put your foot here, and I'll lift you up over the other side of the wall. And we make sure everybody gets over. And then now we're looking up, there's nobody to help us over the wall, and they gone. Nobody's reaching their hand or throwing a rope over saying, hey, let's bring you along. Black women in the feminist movement, same thing. LGBTQ thing and black folks, they always want to align themselves and get your sympathy. And then when they get where they have to go, they're not fighting for you.
No, they're not.
And if they do act like they're fighting for you in some Black Lives Matter, it's not for you being black, because that was a gay thing. They will always use black tears and misery for their advancement. I've seen it decade after decade after decade. They let it cool down a little bit, and here they come. They might say a little something here and there, or you'll see an individual who gets involved, but that doesn't mean it's the whole. Because like it was said last night, you've never seen a poor gay neighborhood. You see a lot of black folks who are gay in the black poor neighborhood, but white folks and they're gay, and they they got the best of the best. They look out for each other. And it's funny, they're not looking out for us. They're not including us even in that. Charge $2, and even charge $2 more for the KY jelly.
And even when you in that environment, you have to be subordinate.
Exactly. You got to be the bottom.
Yeah. Damn.
Even when you're the top, you better be apologetic.
There's no diversity. There's no diversity in that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. if you exactly always on the bottom. But even when you're on the top and they want it that way, Negro, I'm bending over, but I'm just letting you know, you better not play anything funny because you'll be locked up tonight.
they'll be about them with one of their own.
Yeah, exactly. Well, don't think.
Now, Leroy, I want you to know that I'm only going to do this one time. I don't want to do it, but the diversity. I went to Diversity University, and they said that you do it once, and that's it. I'm letting you know that if you do anything wrong, I'm calling the cops.
And if you grab my hips and go too crazy with that big thing you have in there, I have a pistol. I have a pistol under the pillow, and I will blow your brains out and said I was fearing for my life.
Yeah, and I got a dog, a big Cujo dog on the back porch. I'll sick him on you. I'll bring him in
because he's jealous anyway. Because he's my lover when you're not here.
Right.
Cujo,
these big
Cujo
old dogs. Yeah. Cujo on the back porch saying, "Boy, if I could get out of here, if you open up this door,
shit, I thought he was gonna get some."
Yeah, he said, "Oh, this N-word, he's in there. This N-word in there.
When the master's indulgent, when the master's indulgent bestiality, that dog will bite you up faster. Because little do you know that the dog is the lover.
Yeah.
Yep.
And some states do allow bestiality.
Well, there are 3 of them. I think Hawaii is one of them. Yeah. And they're not saying anything bad about it. They're permissive of it. I mean, there's nothing against it. And there are more and more states with that in different parts of the world. Now, just because the law says that, they're not stopping people from doing things behind closed doors.
True. And in most cases, Lance, it's really about abuse of the animal. Not so much having a relationship with the animal. It's like a person who likes being with chickens, and they may snap the chicken's neck. I'm serious. You have people out there that do that, snap the chicken's neck. It's not so much that they had a affair with the chicken. It's the fact that they would snap the chicken's neck or something. It's just certain little issues, these things that people do with these animals. So it's the cruelty. It's the cruelty. It's not the sex act so much. It's the cruelty that's done to the animal.
But that adds a new meaning to the Colonel's special sauce when you go to KFC. So be careful what you're consuming.
That's true. That's very true.
Beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on the sesame seed bun.
The sesame seed bun. One of these guys are different than the other. Remember that? One of these guys are different from the other. Now it's time to play that game. It's time to play that game.
Look, in 2024, we'll be playing that game all day long because it's a whole lot of different weirdo people running around here. Trust and believe.
It's a lot. Yeah.
But growing up in the city, going to different gyms, and oh man, I mean, it was saturated in the gyms. Bodybuilding gyms back in the day, man. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
And you have these guys staring you down and trying to make eye contact. You go to the bathroom, here they come. You got 6 urinals. You go to the one on the end, and he got to pass all the other 5 and come next to you and bump into you shoulder to shoulder. Oh, sorry.
Would you like some coffee?
He can manage your stuff, and you got to turn your shoulder to hide what you got.
Yeah. You know what, Lance, it's funny you mentioned that because I was thinking about that earlier about women that they complain sometimes about if they're large breasted, they complain about men sometimes will stare at their breasts. If they got nice backside, small waist, wide hips, they complain about men objectifying them. But men, we go through the same thing, especially like if you're a guy, if you train, you got a nice looking physique, nice looking body, look better than average. Not only will women, because women like men with nice looking bodies, but you got men out there who are the same way.
Yep.
And
you'll find out who's down low real quick.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, true. Very true. Because I was in the gym. I remember I was in the gym one day. I was working out, and then I took a break between sets, and I looked up, and this brother was staring me right in my face.
They don't
just
care
staring,
now.
Looking in my direction, leaning
That's
forward,
the
staring.
Glare. That's that glare. And see, it's like a signal. When they stare at you and you stare at them back the same way, they know it's on and popping. It's a certain glare. Eddie Murphy, I tell women that's a frequency that they really don't pick up. You can have a dude on your arm
You're a woman, you got a man on your arm, and this next dude walks up and quick in a split second. You know how Eddie Murphy used to flare his eyes sometime? That's what that thing looks like, but it's real quick, and women just don't pick up on that. And deals are being made, and things are happening right up under your nose, and you don't even realize it. Exactly.
And also, I found this out a few years ago. Let's say you at a restaurant and you sitting at a table, you and your girl, or your wife, you all sitting at a table, and let's say it's a table for 4, or it could be a table for 2, and you sitting next to her, or she could be sitting across from you, and a guy will accidentally hit your foot and say, "Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Say, "I'm sorry about that. Excuse me." That's another one of those things where they're trying to test you out to see, are you like that? Because they'll accidentally walk past your
it's
table
very subtle
and,
too,
and,
but it's
and
very
tap your
strong
foot.
at the same time.
Yeah,
exactly. Like that
I
happened
heard about that.
in Atlanta. I was in Atlanta this one time. What's the mall there? The big mall, the biggest one there, the big famous mall. They got a lot of malls there, but I was in that one, and in the food court. And I've told this story a million times. There's a family, a husband and a wife, and 2 or 3 little girls, a boy, whatever. And there was this dude sitting 3 tables over. First, he was staring me down. And I gave him a look and raised my eyebrow, and I shook my head like, it ain't happening. So he quickly looked away, you know? So I know I'm not a violent guy, but I know how to look that way sometimes. So he changed his mind real quick. So he started focusing on the other guy. He's looking at him, checking him out. So the other guy picked up on it. The family didn't know. He's looking back at him. I'm watching this thing play out. So the dude, the single gay dude, because that married dude was with it too, he gets up and slowly walks over to the restroom, which was close by. And as he was walking to the restroom, he turned around and made sure to give that man a look. And the man knew. And about 90 seconds later, the man, I couldn't hear what he was saying. I mean, I could hear him talking, but I couldn't hear exactly what he was saying. But I saw the body movement. He rubbed his stomach like, listen, I got to take a dump type thing. You know, you got one of them bad ones. Like, I'm going to be in there for a while.
When he was talking, the guy was with his family.
Yeah.
Okay,
that guy. He rubbed his stomach and got him up out of there and went in there. And I'm like, hell no. I said, no, this can't be. I said, I'm going to be nosy this one time. I went to the bathroom to the urinal. It was quiet. I ain't see nobody. So I looked down. I saw a pair of feet, like they were sitting on the toilet, and another pair of feet facing the feet that was in the toilet between the feet, like he was getting ready to pee. So wait a second. Somebody taking a crap and somebody peeing? Nah, they ain't doing that.
They doing
because the guy that was sitting on the toilet didn't pull his pants down. Pants all up. He was giving him a head. Yeah, shoes on. What man? I remember I was going to the High School of Art and Design. We get off at 50th Street sometime. Depending on what train it was. It was on 57th and 2nd Avenue. And Lexington Avenue stop on the E and the F train. Long escalator and all these steps. I had to take a leak of all leaks. There was a long line coming out the bathroom, maybe like 5 feet outside the door. And as soon as, the line moved up, I'm seeing all the urinals open. Now, some dudes went and used it here, and I'm like, wait a second. This line was going into one stall. So I'm like, listen, I got to use the bathroom. I don't know what's going on. They smiling. So I went over there and peed. I said, I don't care. If they have to go to the bathroom, they'll go use the urinal. Maybe they got to go take a dump, but it was like only 3 of them there. So I realized what was going on. There's a guy sitting down in the toilet, and there was a big paper shopping bag in the middle of his legs. Somebody was standing in there because the cops would go in there and try to catch you doing stuff. And the same thing happened in Orlando when I was driving the bus downtown. They had the cops in there because that was a favorite layover spot for a lot of the gay dudes. They go in that handicap stall and they do their thing. And I heard from one of the cleaning ladies that the women were starting to do it too. They were going to the bathrooms, and this not as much as the men, but they busted a few of the women in there too. And these are women who just met. So just as much as you have down low men, You got a whole lot of down low women out there.
You know, Lance, I have a question to ask you. Since
Sure.
you mentioned that, because well, two things, but I'm gonna start with the question. Do you think?
Yes, Lennox.
From your
Lennox
63 years of living experience, observation, experimentation,
Don't rush it, brother.
talking
61.
to people.
But go ahead.
I'm sorry, 61. Do you think? Do you? Because I've come up with a theory. I can't prove this, but maybe you can help me with this. I believe that I have a theory that we know there's something called the law of compensation, meaning if one thing happens in one place, it can happen in another place. Do you think that because we see this explosion of homosexuality among the males, that we're having the same explosion among the females simply because there has to be a number of men to be available, straight men to be available for straight women? You see what I'm saying? It's like what you, because if we have a bunch of homosexual men, that's what I was going to say, like a balance in there. Because if we got all these homosexual males, particularly black males, the whole balance thing has been thrown out of whack as it relates to men's relationship with women.
Right, but look at it this way. This kind of answers it, right? I mean, okay, birth. The balance between males and female births in the world is not like I had to call somebody else up who had somebody who's trying to get pregnant. Hey, man, you know, I'm aiming for a girl, right? So you're going to go for a boy, right? No, we don't know. But it's never, maybe it may not be 50-50, but it's going to be 52-48, 53-47. But it's pretty much a balance of male to females. Now, I'm hearing that it's going off a little more, but there's a balance there. With that spirit and with that feeling and reproduction, we're all tied in together and don't realize on so many levels that we're connected. And what's going on around us in the same town will affect us in our intimate moments with our partner. That there's going to be a balance. It's just the same way, like it's been proven. And my friend Angelo, who's heavy into nature and loves some nature channels and studies up there all his life, you can, I try to bedazzle him. I take pictures of different exotic insects that I see out here on the property. And he'll tell me the name right away. Oh, that's a so-and-so. I'm like, man, you know your stuff. But he told me, and I trust him because he studies this stuff, that whenever an animal or some type of living creature feels as though death is imminent, that it will have more of a propensity to go through the motions of reproduction. Not like, uh-oh, there's a lion chasing me, let me go find somebody and get laid. No, it's not like that. So you compare that to living in the inner city, being black, poor, maybe uneducated, things a little tougher. What's the first thing we do as a release under those conditions where we feel maybe sometimes hopeless or death looming over us by what happens with crime and the cops, and we want to reproduce. That's why we have so much pregnancies, man. You know, it's more to this life than meets the eye when you really dig deep. We see the surface stuff, we see the results, but that thing there, to me, also is very much a engineered spiritual sickness, to upset the apple cart, nature's apple cart, nature's balance. For those individuals, I'll say it every single show, those entities that hate nature. They don't want a man to be a man. He can be a male, but he can't be a man. A man of strength physically, wisdom, integrity, leadership, strong. The first one at any sign of danger, he's running at it. But now, the men run and the women have to run at it now. There's an imbalance. And it's crazy because we got to see it that way. I don't know what would make a man not look. And I said it last night. Even Fleece Johnson was saying when he got out of prison and he got with a woman that ain't nothing like a woman. And that man been doing booties, men booty, all them decades that he was locked up. Even he became a believer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think Lance, in his situation, it's like cause and effect. It was something that happened to him at a young age that caused him to be the person that he was. But once I think he probably came into his true understanding of who he was as a man, as his relationship with a woman, it's like that he walked right into heaven when he got with that sister.
Yep.
I mean, he's like, this is heaven.
And it hit him harder. It had to hit him harder. All them years, the vibration of a woman. We're not even talking about the physicality, how men, the booty and the breast. That's nice. But when you're going through stress in the world, or you lose your mother, or you lose your job, and you come home and your woman holds you, you're strong. You hold her most of the time, but that time when you need it the most. And it's not a sexual thing when your face is nestled in her bosom, the most comfortable place, and she's patting you on the back. Honey, it's going to be all right. We're going to make it, whatever. It may not be like that every night because you're a strong man, but the times you need it, there's nothing like a woman. I'm not looking for no man to hold me like that and talk to me like that. No, bro, it ain't like that. And it's not even sexual with the woman. It's just a comfort. She's the heaven on earth. But most dudes only look at it where, the heaven's gates between the legs. That's nice. But if you don't have that feeling toward her, that thing don't mean nothing. To be honest, and I'm going to be a little more transparent right now, in my life in the past, there have been times when I've been with women and I might have been going through something. And there was no connection with that woman. It was just a friction thing. And I didn't feel anything, any kind of way. You all right, Lance? You ain't enjoying it? No, I'm all right. I'm all right. I'll take care of you. I'm all right, but I'm good.
You enjoyed that arginine release.
Well, at that particular time, it didn't happen because it was more emotional. But I mean, on other times, of course I did. You know what I mean? And sometimes I might not have been feeling good and I still enjoyed it. It was right there.
Right.
You know,
because
I'm Mike Tyson. I have to do it.
Men, we can have sex with a woman and not be emotionally connected to her. Because we're more so into the act. But once you do it and you have that climax, it's like empty. It's like I felt no connection with this female. It was just the act. It led up to the act.
And that's not a good thing, too much of that. You know what I mean? And I say it this way. As soon as you come, you're looking for a reason to go because there's no connection. You see what I mean? So when you have lots of experiences like that, you're like, what am I doing here? I'm not going anywhere with this. And people think it's corny. You know, and like I said, you know, the relationship that I was in where it was open and I was allowed to do whatever I want to do with any woman I wanted, I was tired of that. I was like, I can't live like this no more. And friends of mine were like, man, you got it made. Your woman let you bring women home and do. And I'm like, I can't. That's too much. I mean, it was 8 years of it. So I was enjoying the arginine release, but mentally, I was off. You know what I mean? And I knew that, nah, this ain't for me. Like, and then what? I mean, the whole thing is like, and then what? Because there's a spiritual ascension that happens when you're with somebody. And you have more of a connection than just the sex is beautiful, and it doesn't have to be something where you're swinging from the chandeliers. And after a while, it's not even the sex. It's just a connection that you have. Because like I always say, you can be 85 years old, been with this person for 50 years, 60 years, and when you were younger, you were swinging around, enjoying the arginine release and testosterone and the estrogen that she has. But you can lay in the bed and hold hands. And that's more orgasmic than the best orgasm you ever had. I know
especially when you've been through some hard,
some good. Hell no, you know what I mean? But that's the truth.
Especially if you've been through some hard times with that woman.
Yeah,
you all persevered. You persevered.
Yes,
I mean, other people would have just broken up and said, "To hell with it." But like you say, "No, we persevered through this."
Right.
You know,
it's a deeper thing.
Yeah, and when you make love to her, instead of just rolling over and going to sleep, you talking to her.
Right.
You know?
Right.
You all face to face. talking to each other. I mean, it's you can't put a price on it. I mean, you just can't put a price on that experience, especially when you all been through some stuff. You've been through some good and some bad times, especially bad times.
And you
again,
know, the same thing. The same thing is comparable. Now, this is not a homo thing I'm talking about, but I'm talking about men who've been to war together. And you might have a redneck from the deepest part of the South with a Klan background. You might have a city slicker like me from New York City. And then we go in there together. And because we saved each other's lives and told our life story, it's a different kind of bond. So when I go visit this dude in the redneck part of the South somewhere in Mississippi, they're looking, that's your friend, a black dude? You been from New York City? What you doing around here? But you have that bond. But then with a woman, it goes deeper. And when you realize what that is, it's timeless, it's surreal, and you don't have to have that. You can wait on her. You don't have to be. The body gets horny. Okay, granted. Some people have to put themselves to sleep, whatever have you, but they know what that is. Because you can have anybody, especially women who are faithful, right? And they can have any man they want. They go to the supermarket with rollers in their head on their period with diarrhea and morning breath, and there's still some dude coming in there trying to talk to them. You know what I mean? And they hold themselves and wait, but it's all the perception. It's all how you see it and where you find yourself in this life and your development. You have some old fools and you have some young wise people, because age doesn't always mean wisdom. You have a lot of gray-haired fools out here. You know, and I forgot what the term was, but they're looking for, oh God, what do they call a nurse something? The guys that are players right up until the last minute. And then they look for the woman to live with that will take care of them. And a lot of these are like, you will play all your life and I'm gonna sit here and take care of you? Oh no, you could have gave me your best years. We could have built something together. And usually it's somebody that they halfway know. Hey girl, you know, I always had a feeling for you. That's that game. Because you can't get it up no more. You can't run with the young girls no more. The knees are hurting and you're tired and you got heart issues and stuff. And now you want somebody to take care of you. It ain't gonna feel the same. Because if that man was nursed to physical strength again, he'll mess up on you again.
You know, Lance, the more you talk, and I'm looking at Kamala's pictures up here on the banner, the more I start to feel sorry for her, because you mentioned about the people being damaged and they're growing up and family and not having the kind of love. And, you know, Kamala, her father, I mean, I never met the man. I never spoke to him. I mean, he might have been a good person that really wanted to make it with her mom, make that thing work. But sometimes, depending on the parents, some females, not necessarily to blame the mom, but I'm saying that it probably was just so much friction between the two that the father was like, no, this is just not going to work. And
the cultural stuff now. The cultural stuff.
That's true. The Indian Brahmin culture. And to the point where it's like, this is not going to work. And in that process, Kamala, she ended up suffering. Yeah. She suffered. That's the internal in the house, and the external would be when she said she was growing up during the civil rights movement and all this, the busing issue and the racism that she experienced. So she's this, whether it was in the house, externally, this woman was so traumatized to the point where it's almost like you look at her and you really, when you really think about it, you meditate on it, you know, you say, man, I really feel sorry for this woman. This is a broken woman. This is a broken woman.
But she's dangerous. And see, the thing is, she does know what she's doing. That's the, see,
I never said she didn't. I didn't say she didn't.
Right.
Broken and dangerous.
Right. Oh no, you're broken and dangerous. You know, you could be a nice person, drunk behind the wheel, speeding down the street. You're gonna run me over.
Right.
You see what I mean? And there's a certain point in one's life where they have to take an assessment for themselves and go within. To me, you could also throw in selfish, because she doesn't
I can see she don't care about nobody else but herself.
Mm-hmm.
She gonna do what she has to do, and she gonna prove that she gonna get to a certain point. She's
Mm-hmm.
no different than a bodybuilder who takes steroids, or a boxer who removes the padding from his knuckles so he can hit you with his bare fist behind the glove.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? And just like
Mhm.
Gifty Sine said, she deserves no pity. Because you see, okay, see, we're looking at her in her origin of when she may have been traumatized and stuff like that. But for her to be the monster that she is today and manipulative, she knows good and damn well what she's doing. And it comes a point where you lose righteous consciousness. You keep ignoring the right from wrong, and maybe she never knew right from wrong. Maybe she was never taught that. Maybe her Indian mother made her feel entitled and made it feel like her father was less than. Who knows what kind of arguments she heard? And then you know, within the Jamaican culture and the Indian culture, it caught up in the color. You see what I mean?
True.
And just as a side note, right? Her hair, is that hair that's relaxed, or is it? And I say that because if she grew an afro, she ain't gonna wear an afro, okay? With the Indian mother who probably, and this is all speculation, we don't know. For the sake of entertainment, we're speculating, we're thinking out loud.
Right.
Who knows what the father wanted the daughter to become, which we don't have the right to say, I want you to be this, but the influences, they had to have a clash, that mother and that father. And chances are, it wasn't in India. You got a lot of what they call coolies in Jamaica.
Right,
I know because my father told me he was married to one way back in the 40s for a brief time. And they had a child that miscarried. And it was a big blow up. And he basically left her, not because he didn't want to be with her, but it was something that, you know, I heard bits and pieces of the story. But they can be very controlling, very domineering. And once they get a taste of the blackness and the staff of life and that shift stick, an old term they use in Jamaica, they say that the Indian women get white liver. White liver. You get a taste of the black man, you can't get enough. That's an old term. You see what I mean? So just like, let me put this other comment up.
Yeah. You know, just a quick, like, just Grifty, I agree that we all have some experience with trauma and these issues, but some of us have it more than others. That's my point. I dated a girl one time. She was half Indian, half Pakistani, drop dead gorgeous. Gorgeous. She had these big brown, pretty eyes, long natural eyelashes, not that extension stuff. Brother Lance, she was drop dead gorgeous. But it didn't work. Why? Because that whole Indian thing started coming out. And it's cultural. It's definitely a cultural thing. Because the mom and the father, I think they was having some issues. And that her father passed away when she was young. And we got together. She was an exchange student. We got together and everything. And it just didn't work out because she had too many issues. She was like one of those girls that are so gorgeous that she brings her problems of dating history is a Samsonite. She was dragging a Samsonite with her. And I just couldn't deal with it. It was just too much. I mean, it was just too much. Because, you know, like women who are very attractive, going back to like what you said, when they had men be trying to constantly hit on them and all these experiences that she had in the past, like I said, she was carrying it like that Samsonite. And I was like, no, I can't do this. I need somebody just a little bit more simple, somebody that's more domesticated, you know, and
accountable,
that's the route I had to go.
Accountable for their past and what they deal with. Because you see, it with those who have that what we would call pretty privilege. Yeah, it doesn't mean everybody's dropped dead gorgeous, but you know, on a scale of stuff, you know, from 7.5, 8 on up, whatever you would say. Because to me, it's about the spirit of the person. It's about their inside. That may sound corny, but
give me, and I'm gonna say it in a slang way. I'm speaking as a single man. If I was single, give me a chick who's a plain Jane but got a good spirit, ride or die with me, loyal, transparent.
Right.
I'll roll with that. That makes her look fine as heck to me.
Mhm.
And I'm not against those who are deemed as pretty or beautiful,
Right.
drop dead gorgeous. But usually in this society, many of them have even more issues than the ones who may not be revered as being as beautiful because
True.
of that.
True.
You see, because they're treated different, and it's a
True.
pressure
True.
on them, and they get the privilege, and they expect the privilege, and they don't get the privilege, and they imagine the privilege. And then lots of times they don't develop the other sides of themselves to be introspective and look within themselves and say, okay, I got to be accountable for this. They get the pretty pass all the time. And again, you got to be exceptional to look beyond that when you are what the world calls drop dead gorgeous, and it's far and few between. And usually it's a set of issues. And I find lots of times many of these women, and I'm not saying all, I'm just generalizing right now, have something, a void or something, a part of them not developed socially. They can't relate in certain areas because they're so used to getting this attention. And when you don't give it to them, not that you're going to hold it back, but when you're looking for more personality from them and you're trying to have a conversation and they're looking at you like, you should just be getting off on the fact that I'm fine. And to be honest, and we're adults talking here, many of those in the bedroom are like laying in a missionary position, just get off on the fact that I'm beautiful and I'm giving you some. You know what I mean? And let's just be more adult for the joke. Let's just be more adult for the joke to make people laugh. I saw you laughing earlier. Let me tell you something. This is what they say. I'm not saying I'm saying it. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But the best blowjob you'll get in your life is from a chick who thinks she's ugly with low self-esteem. She'll work harder. How many hours over? I just had to say that. But that's not always. And I don't mean to break it down to just
the ones that. No, that's true, because the ones you think is drop dead gorgeous, like, man, I bet she can really get down. And you get in bed with her, it's like, damn, I had to do all the work. I had to be the one. I had to be the one. It's like she's doing it. I'm like, baby, that's not how you do it. You don't do it like that. You don't do it like that.
That's not how you do it.
I can only say it from a man's perspective. I can't get into much detail about it, but I could say, no, that's not quite the way it's done. I mean, she's trying. She's trying.
And you know what?
But
okay,
but
it's like, okay, but it's not okay. But it's okay. But when it's coming from a place of, you should be glad that I'm even doing this because I'm so pretty, then that's what it's like. Forget it. Forget it. We're done.
Yeah. And they didn't even do it a long time. They went through the motions.
Right. Oh, I can get more detail on that, but I'm gonna keep it PG-13.
Right.
You know, we'll have an adult relationship, private show on the conference line that everybody's invited to. Maybe we'll do that this weekend, where we get into the details, and we're not talking to demean anybody, but it's going to be a lot of comedy, but it's going to be a lot of realism. We need some of those shows sometime. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know what, Lance? In most cases, most people don't talk. When it comes to bedroom, they don't communicate.
No, they don't. And before and after, like, you should talk. There should be communication. What you like, what you want to, it should be where you're inquiring. What can I do better? What did you like? But we're gonna do one of those shows, man. Maybe Saturday night we'll do something.
I had to tell her. I say, baby, I love you, but I don't toss salad. Don't do it. I can't do it. I've tried. I tried to get close to it. I couldn't do it. No, I couldn't do it. I said, I don't do that.
Dressing. Trust me.
Yeah. I said, no. I can't do it. Some people can, but some guys in the gym. I'm not trying to change the subject and get, but some guys, you talk to them, oh yeah, man. Yeah. And I'm looking like, I'm sorry, I just have to pass. I'll just have to pass on that one, But no, Kamala, I don't. When I say I feel sorry for her, it don't mean I'm gonna go vote for her. because I feel sorry for her. I would never vote for her.
Right.
It's her past is why I wouldn't. I mean, we're talking about a woman who wants to be president. That's what we're talking about here. And what I'm saying is, it's because of her past that I wouldn't vote for her. Whether she was a child, a youth, whether she was an adult, a college student, whether she's a legal practice, I would never vote for her. So I don't feel sorry for her. You know, it's like you see a person and you just look and say that person is damaged, and they got all the signs. They just have all, and then they want to be in a job, Lance, where they want to push a thermonuclear button that could obliterate life as we know it on this planet.
Oh my God. Imagine that. Imagine that. And her ego gets involved, and she's gonna have the last word. And all of the stuff comes flooding back to her. And she overreacts. Just like the cop that shot the woman there. What's her name? Sandra Massey. Overdid it. They had issues because he was being moved around to different precincts, as we call it in the North, but they would call it something different.
Right.
Sheriff departments,
precincts,
and stuff like that. So you have them out there, and some of these people seek out jobs where they can execute that side of them that is not too favorable, and the power and the rush. And I've seen it in corrections, guys who don't have any righteous power and control. See, because sometimes you say control, and that ticks a lot of people off. What you mean control? You can't control me. No, not that kind of control, but the righteous control and respect and power that comes as being a righteous man in the household. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean you're flexing all the time. It just means that when you're there as a man when it comes time to rule righteously. And I'm not saying rule over somebody, but you got to be careful with these words, because so many people are touched in ways that you have to be very careful. And it's not going to work that way. And we just finished speaking about relationships, but the president is supposed to have a relationship with the people and his peers, and he's supposed to be like that cop that never pulls his gun. Kamala's like the cop who pulls the gun in the first week of going out there after the academy. She's that person, and it's like she can't wait to wear her strap on publicly to show the world that she got one too. You see what I mean? And it makes me wonder, what ticks her off? What about dealing with the African nations? How is she going to deal with the African nations? Is she going to put sanctions on them and run them in because they don't wave the rainbow flag? You're not the police of the whole world. You may think you are, but she is very, and that husband of hers, I need to observe him more, not by what he says, but I need to see them together and see their body language and see what that tells me. You see what I mean? So you can pick up cues from things in a nonverbal manner and learn a lot when you see it, So I'm going to check out all those things, and whatever comes to me, I'm going to tell it. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to get down with it. But let me see here. Is there anybody else coming on in? Oh, no, it's just us. And a few other folks wanted to come in, but they were probably driving or getting to where they had to go. I'm not going to stay on that much longer. So if anybody wants to come in, please do so, because I got even a more extra crazy packed day tomorrow, which is a show I might have to do earlier, and I'm definitely going to do something, because I'm going to keep these shows up around this time. And it may not be a set time yet, but in the next month or 6 weeks, whatever, we will have some set time shows where you don't even have to check and see if I'm doing something, unless an emergency happens, but I want to keep regular with this stuff and keep on it. But I tell you, the whole political scenario is so interesting. It has me interested in keeping up with it, and it was always boring to me. So this thing here, we're going to keep on it. So we have people in the chat room. If you want to come on in, and yes, Gifty, thank you so much. Here's your chance before we go, and we'll be back tomorrow. And if you can't make it every time, it's understandable, because people got stuff to do and everything like that.
True.
But we're going to keep it that way. We always keep it open. I may rant for 5 minutes, and then we just open the lines up and talk.
But give us some wrap down words, brother, unless somebody comes on in.
Well, I would just want to say, just, people don't believe everything you hear and only believe half of what you see, if almost maybe you just got to be, game recognizes game. So just keep on listening to the LanceScurv show, tuning in, and you get your how you say, your subscription, not prescription, but subscription on what's going on in the world. Because the media, as it relates to Kamala Harris, I foresee everything with her is going to be a narrative driven. Woman of color. She was the first this. She was the first that. It's going to be about her. And as we go up into the election, if she's the one that's tapped or selected, right, they're going to try their best, in my opinion, to not deal with her record. Because like I said the other day, like Bill Parcells said, your record shows who you are. And they're going to try their best to not deal with her record. But what Trump is, they're going to start talking about some stuff. Well, Trump did this, he did that, he did this, he did that.
Especially her. Right.
Yeah. But they're not gonna, in the media, they're gonna try their best to not deal with her record. Yeah. They're not gonna deal with her record. They're gonna try their best. Maybe you'll see it come up in the debates, but as of right now, woman of color. If you don't vote for a woman of color, you're a racist. As black men, right? As men of color, per se, in quotes, if we don't vote for a woman, we're misogynistic. That's the narrative.
So we're back up against the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the narrative. That's going to be the narrative. Well, why don't you? Well, her record. I said, well, I think the Democrats could have came up with somebody more qualified, and it could have been a woman, but it could have been a woman who was more qualified. I mean, that would be my counter to their argument. I said, okay, fine, but it could have been somebody else. It didn't have to be her. But I think the vice president is never really selected because they're qualified. The vice president is normally selected to shore up the person who's running for president who may need some extra votes from different areas of the country. Just like Kennedy, when Kennedy had Johnson, Kennedy didn't select Johnson. Johnson was put on the ticket, but Kennedy was from, Massachusetts? Johnson was from Texas. He was supposed to get that Southern vote. The Southern vote, you see? So that's what the vice president.
You have a question here. Would you vote for Michelle Obama?
Hell no. See, this is that personality. This is personality politics, Lance.
Yes.
This is personality driven. It's not driven by people who can get the job done. It's not driven by people say, you know what? We have an immigration problem. We have an immigrant problem. We cannot allow our borders to remain open and millions of people. It's like you being in an elevator and the elevator says the elevator only holds 15 people. Now there's 10 people in it now. And then somebody said, no, we can fit 20 more in. But it only holds 15 people.
The next thing would be, well, we have a black president, male. We have a woman of color, a black female. She's a shapeshifter. Well, we need to find somebody who is a person of the rainbow to be the first openly, just anybody, just pick anybody. And that dude who was on the clip yesterday having an argument with the black woman who snatched off his wig and threw it down, well, he's the only available one. Would you want him to have his finger on the nuclear button, on the red button?
Hell
as soon as he get in office, he wouldn't even go to sleep yet. The world's blown up. Trust me.
My cappuccino is cold. My latte is cold. How dare you? Man, I'm gonna push the button. Hell, let's get it over with now.
You're a waitress. Yeah. You don't like me because I look better than you. And I know that you're Russian, so I'm gonna fix you. You have family in Russia. I'm pushing the button. I'm gonna blow up every Russian right now just because my cappuccino was cold. Yes, I will. Inviting the disaster
I
to
mean,
happen. My God.
wow. Yeah. You know, we need politicians who are concerned about the American people first. Somebody say, well, what's going on in China somewhere? Well, let the Chinese handle that. What's going on in North Korea? Let the North Koreans handle that. Well, what's going on in Budapest? Well, let those people in Hungary, let those people handle that. But right now,
That's
we're focusing
America's
on what we
problem.
have
They
to
worry
deal
about
with.
everybody else.
Absolutely. We need to be concerned about, you know, the thing about Trump. Like I said, I'm not a Trump supporter. See, I think my problem with Trump is he's still kind of stuck in the 20th century fighting the Cold War. He knows business, but he doesn't know politics. And he needs people around him to say, okay, we use the U.S. military if we have to, but the U.S. military should be domestic, not all 120 military bases and installations all over the world. The military should always be domestic in case of a national emergency. Because if the military was more so domestic, we wouldn't have this border problem. We wouldn't have millions of people coming over here. And another thing, I would be like, okay, we got people from Venezuela, we got people from Brazil. Why don't we focus on building up their economies so that the people won't have to leave there? They as long as they know they have economic opportunity, they'll stay where they are. But as long as they're economically unstable, they're going to have problems. And then they're going to come where the prosperity is. And that's the United States and or Canada.
But it's the perception of prosperity, because I saw a couple of video interviews where there are a lot of them who come here who can't wait to get back because they saw how disappointed they were. They thought it was something more overblown. It's just like many Ghanaians that I speak to here in West Africa. Oh, and the glow comes over their face. And it's just heaven on earth. They're so euphoric. The thought of America. Oh, if I go to America now, I'm never coming back. Yeah, listen, you might be prophesying because you might come back in a body bag. Who knows? Or you might just never come back working 2 jobs and can't afford a ticket.
Somebody said, Brother Lance, somebody said, so you want to vote for a trans president? Hell no. That person, to me, they have a mental problem. Whenever a person, you know, like, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna get out of here, Lance.
We'll be passing atrazine candy to everybody, but go ahead.
Lance, if I came to your house, Lance,
right,
and let's say I got on the floor and started acting like a dog. Now, you, depending on your personality, you might laugh and think it's funny. Oh, boss, man, you know, man, okay, man. But if I decide to stay on the floor and act like a dog, you're like, man, you got to get up, man. You're making a fool out of yourself. Okay, it was funny 5-10 minutes ago. But now you're making a fool of yourself. Instead of laughing with you, I'm laughing at you. In fact, it's not even funny anymore.
Right.
So, in other words, I'm delusional, because delusional means when you believe something that's not true. So this whole thing about trans woman, if everybody is a woman, nobody is a woman.
Right. They cancel each other out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when I see people like that, I understand deep down inside they have mental health issues. Like this woman here, she got mental health issues. I'm not pitying her per se. I'm not when I said I feel sorry for her, she got some issues. Now you may say, well, she knows what she's doing. I agree. I didn't say she didn't. But most of us, the reality of, as people, we are the sum total of our life experiences. And this woman, she's a mess. She's a hot mess. No, I wouldn't vote for no trans anything.
Only thing I like this trans.
Not for the president of the United States. No.
Only thing I like this trans is that Kraftwerk song from '77, Trans Europe Express.
Trans, Union, Express.
Europe, Express. That's it.
Yeah. see, this whole, you know, Lance, we live in bizarro world.
Don't you know it?
It's like it's like we're in bizarro world. It's like, remember, I hate to always reminisce, but remember when you saw like the Kennedy-Nixon debates, or when Carter debated Ford and all that? It was straightforward, no chaser. Now it's like, now the whole, the presidential thing is a circus. It's like, this is a circus.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a circus.
So
it's a
let
big
the sideshow begin. Hurry, hurry.
Didn't I blow your mind this time? Oh
no!
It's like
that's what Kamala to say, but it ain't the mind she's talking about. I'll shut up on that one.
The Delphonics. I mean, it's a circus. It's a circus. All these this stuff is a circus, and sometimes I think it can't get worse. It can't. No such thing as worser. I just say some days I think it can't get worse than this, and then it does, and it's like,
base. How low can you go?
Death row. What a brother know. Once again, you know, it's like you know, getting old. Lance has his privileges.
Mm-hmm.
And I just look. I said it can't get any worse. So I just tell the people, just tune in. You mentioned about Joan Rivers. Yeah, she's another crazy. You know, you just can't. You can't. You know, it's this whole thing is deep. It's deep. It's deep.
Yep.
It's deep. It's deep.
If we really knew what was going on, if we really knew what was going on before or below the surface, it would blow our minds. That's why they have it when you can't find stuff out until 75 years after. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like you mentioned about Benjamin Netanyahu coming to the United States. He knows that without the help of the United States, he can't do anything. He knows that. Some people say that he runs America. Well, I don't think so. I just like when the British allowed the mass exodus of Jews to leave Europe after World War I, and then the United States took over that thing with the creating the state of Israel in 48. Israel cannot do anything without the help of the United States. If the United States is not giving them anything and not supplying them anything, they can't do anything. And right now, I foresee Israel, the state of Israel, is going to fall within the next 5 years, because how are they going to fight the people in the south in Yemen? They're fighting Lebanon. They're fighting Syria. They're fighting Iran. They're surrounded. How are you going to fight these people when the Sunni and Shia Islam world comes together? It's over with. It's over with for them. It's done. This whole thing with keeping them divided has worked for the United States. But now you see them saying, wait a minute, we got thousands of Palestinians getting slaughtered and getting killed since 1917, 1919. And now the whole world, because of social media, like you said, is a blessing and a curse. The whole world sees this. And you can't, remember what I said before, we can't live in a world where we have children suffering, being killed, being abused, and we don't say anything. The whole world see babies under rubble. The International Court of Justice even said that this is genocide. And the whole world is watching.
Brother Joe Harden, your line is open when you want to jump in. But go ahead, brother.
Oh no, I'm just listening to the brother. I'm listening to the brother speak facts right now, so I'm gonna listen and jump in when I can.
Well, thank you, brother. Let me just say this. I'm just saying that the whole world is watching genocide in living color. So how the Israelis, the IDF, how are they gonna justify? How are you gonna justify babies in hospitals getting killed and babies under rubble? You can't justify that. So the whole world is turning against them. The whole world is turning against them. And I foresee within the next 5 years, some people say 10, I say less than 5. They're leaving Israel now. They're just getting on planes and getting the hell out of there. Tel Aviv. They're getting out of there. They're saying the hell with this. The Arab world has woken up, man. And they understand that the Israeli government is really a paper tiger.
Right. Wow.
Go ahead, my brother. We love to. Go ahead. We love to hear. Is the brother still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah. I'm just reading where someone says spending all of this energy talking about a black woman's anatomy is irrelevant. What?
No, because they were speaking about Michelle Obama being trans, and and how we should focus on what's really going on, because it's part of the distraction. There's a little dialogue going on, so
exactly.
If you just read that out of nowhere,
Yeah, I just read that up top because I just saw that. But I was just saying, like, that it relates to what you were talking about right there. What he just said about the distractions and who we back as the United States, and we sit here and watch all of these atrocities being perpetrated against human beings, against innocents, and because of who we want to back, we want to think that that it's the right thing, because we always have a little problem with Muslim people anyway, because we don't have them. They're not so tied into our money like that. Except for with the oil, and we hate that. We try to find ways to mess with that. Operation Iraqi Liberation.
Right. Well, my brother, oh, go ahead, brother.
No. That's it. That's what I got to say on that. That completes that thought.
Well, I was just going to say, because I know Brother Lance he wants to wrap things up. If you go back to the late 90s,
when y'all come in with the talking, that energizes me. So I'm like, yeah, let's get it on.
Well, back in the late 90s, you have this group called the neocons, the neoconservatives. Neo only means new. So what you had them. There was something called the PNAC document called the Project for the New American Century, and what this document said. These are mostly Zionists in the government. Paul Wolfowitz, he was one. I think Pearl, he was one. And they basically said this in this document. They said that since the collapse of the Soviet Union, all these nations in the Middle East have basically been trying to be independent nations, sovereigns. So what they were saying, there were 7 nations that they wanted to knock out. Libya was one. Iraq was one. Syria was one. North Korea was one. I think Lebanon was one. And the other ones escapes me. But they said that we want to go in and we want to just go in and just crush them, so they'll never be a threat to Israel. Because Israel is America's unsinkable aircraft carrier in the Middle East. But they had one problem. They said, how can we escalate U.S. military forces in the world if we need a Pearl Harbor type event? So something happens so bad in America that the American people say, yes, I will sacrifice my sons and daughters on the altar of destroying these several countries. And they got that with the tragic events of September the 11th. Interestingly enough. And then once that happened, then they said, okay, let's go into operation. And I still say that's questionable. Some things happened that day, but that's the discussion for another time. But the point is, after September the 11th, we had the Iraqi invasion, and then we had in Afghanistan. Now, most of these countries, they have been able to at least knock out but stabilize. They got Libya in 2011. But now they still have a problem. Going back to what I was saying yesterday, because they have a problem with Russia, they have a problem with China, and they have a problem with the global South. And the global South being like the South America. And even with Africa, they have a problem. So they wanted to get China and Russia back in 2001, but they couldn't, because they weren't strong enough. And Putin said he remembers seeing that military buildup in Afghanistan. He said if they want to go in, let them. So now the United States is turning to want to fight Russia and China 20 years plus later. But the problem they running into is we don't have the military forces like we had during 2003. And
Too
like
spread out.
we don't have the military anymore. We don't the military has went rainbow.
Trying to be too many places and too many, it's too much.
Right.
They want to be everywhere. You can't be the police everywhere. And the real police can't be everywhere. They want to be everywhere. They want to be ready for China with Taiwan. They want to be in Iran. They want to be by Palestine and Israel. They want to be by Ukraine. They want to give everything away. And we're not being done right in America. And I mean, I'm born American. I'm American. I know it on paper. I'm an American. But
right.
They're not doing the people right. No. Maybe if they focus that energy all the way and get everything right, maybe I would still be there.
And that's why Trump, when he started to run, that's why Trump resonated with the people when he got elected.
Right.
I was kind of shocked when he got elected. But Trump, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm just talking about Trump's strategy. Trump had a grassroots thing going on. And he wasn't talking that same old line, well, democracy and freedom and the rules-based order. He wasn't talking all that stuff. He was just talking about things that the common man and woman could relate to. But Trump still got his issues because his mind is still stuck in the past.
Right.
And the world, we live in a world, it's like this internet. The more people communicate with each other, the more smarter people get. And that's what has happened in the world. Now you can get access to information. So all these black writers and Dr. Ivan Van Sertima and Dr. Renoka Rashidi and all these black writers, people got that information disseminated. And that, if you think about it, we were the ones as black people in America who really have started a global anti-colonialism movement in the world. We're the ones who did that. Because black people in America, we are the most, I would probably say, everybody in the world, non-white people, knows black Americans. If you say Michael Jordan, if you say Michael Jackson, if you say Prince, if you say particularly entertainment, people know black people. They say, oh, that's a black American. Oh, there's a Mariah Carey black American. We can debate their background, but generally speaking, I'm saying people know Whitney Houston. People know who these people are. So black people culturally,
even up to the generation with the Drakes and the kids these days. Yeah. The one you're talking about laid the groundwork for them, but yes.
Yeah. So people know us globally, but not only do people know us globally in entertainment, they know us as the black intellectuals. Like in New York, what's that black bookstore in New York, Lance, where they got it was in the Malcolm X movie, where they had the bookstore. With
all the faces on the mural at the 125th Street. I forgot the name, but I used to see that all the time growing up.
Yeah, House of Knowledge or something like that. House of Consciousness or something like that. But that information, those are black writers. Those books and those bookstores are black people. So we really spearheaded it, anti-colonial music. It just took the world time to catch up.
Right.
It took the world time to catch up. They're just catching up, like Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X. We can go on and on and on. They were people, these personalities.
Yeah. Technically, we were the first. We were the first people that they actually saw. Black people were the first people that they actually saw with the new technology of television fighting America. They were the first. We were the first ones. So yeah. So we have an impact that way.
Right. And the world is just now catching on because of the internet, because of social media. Yeah. The world has really caught on.
And they saw us doing it on American soil, which was big.
Yeah. Right.
Besides, I take that back. Like, in the mainland America, I mean, but Pearl Harbor before that. But yes, where people are actually actively opposing the thoughts and the way that America is run, and on the ground and speaking eloquently about what's wrong. So that made them realize. Even Hitler tried to jump in on it and try to throw us a couple of bones, but he was racist. But he was just opposing America. But everybody was starting to take notice and okay, this place that's starting to gain some momentum, because we started gaining some power and some real and some real weight in the world through war, throughout, because we were profiteering off of war. We were making money off of selling these things and selling these weapons of war to other countries. We didn't want to be in it at first. We just wanted to sell weapons to them. And then you know, Pearl Harbor and things like that, Lusitania before that with World War I, and all of that. Like they had to, we were forced to do something to save national face. And then all of this idea of America being this big, powerful, untouchable sort of, you know, culturally untouchable place fell by the wayside when we started uprising as Black people and talking about how bad it is and the real and nitty gritty of America. That's why people like Malcolm and Martin had to go.
Yeah, because they, you know, how can a country pride itself in democracy and freedom, and then you have voices like you said, like Malcolm and Martin in the wilderness saying, "No, wait a minute, that's not true.
Exactly.
This is all a scam. You know, these are games that people play." But I would say, when I was coming up, like I said, in the 70s, by the time the 70s was starting to come onto the scene, you started to see a change. It's almost like the powers that be said, okay, let's not fight them physically. We'll fight them mentally. In other words, we're going to put ideas in their heads. The COINTELPRO is not going to be just what in the past it was limited to killing leaders, Black leaders. But they said now, when we kill them, it raises too many eyebrows. So what we're going to do, we're going to get them to do it for us. And we're going to put these counter-revolutionary ideas in the minds of the masses of Black people to make them think that whenever you see a Black person with a gun in a movie, yeah, they might kill 100 Black men just to get to one white man. And then we get happy and say, oh, he killed the man. He killed the man. But a brother had to kill 99 Black men just to get to one white man.
Yes,
yeah,
right.
they'll usually make that guy an anti-hero too, in terms of being a pimp or something like that. True.
So it's like the Godfather movies, the anti-hero.
Yeah.
The criminal, Scarface. The criminal has become the hero. And
say hello to my little friend.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they did, and they put that idea in the minds of young, especially Black males.
That's what I'm saying. Like my generation that came up after Scarface, I was born in 1980, and so Scarface came around like 83. So by the time we saw that on home movies for our whole lives, by the time we become teenagers, it's already there.
Right. See, you remember New Jack City?
I sure do. In the theaters. I can't even believe we was allowed to go see that.
Yeah. See, so you know.
I saw that in the theaters.
Yeah. So you know. So you know what time it is, and that's the idea that they start putting, and then also they start putting this Jezebel spirit among Black women. You start seeing Black women in these films half nude. Oh yeah. They cussing out. You know, they put it's like, and that they say, okay, this is the model. This is the prototype that we want Black behavior. And by the late 70s, maybe early 80s, it had already been completed.
Exactly. And this is where I could chime in really well on this one, because that second wave feminism, second and third wave feminism is what really the white women grabbed the Black women's minds. And they were like, okay, down with the patriarchy. We're burning our bras. We're doing this. There was never a Black patriarchy. There was never a Black male patriarchy. We suffered under more oppression than all the women. And so, and then so they want to sit here. They've grown link arms with the Black women. Girl, I love your afro. You know, I'm burning my bra. I'm letting my armpit under my hair grow. All that shit. And so it became a whole thing where, oh, it's your body, your choice, and all of this. You don't need no man. And then you got the government coming in saying, "Yeah, you don't need no man, girl. I'll be your pimp.
You're by your choice.
I'll be your man. Just go
Today
ahead.
I'm Johnny, tomorrow I'm Joyce.
Keep that man out the house so I can come in." And then I'm gonna come for my son. Then I'm gonna come for my son later on, your child. I'm gonna come for my son later on and put him in the prison industrial complex. Now you don't have any choice but to live out your days instead of being at home teaching and educating the community and your home. And by extension, the community. No, you're gonna be out in these factories. You're gonna be at this call center. You're gonna be in this job. We're gonna turn you into a lifelong worker who gets nowhere. Like we're gonna turn you into. So now they've supplied their workforce with black women, and then even today, that you will find that a lot of these corporations will specifically create internship programs and programs for only black women. And that's where this whole Kamala Harris thing comes into to play, because it's like they've been working to make black men and black women separate from each other politically. They've been trying to separate black men and black women politically to the point where black women almost see themselves as their own political party. They see themselves as their own people, because you'll hear even Oprah opened a school for the girls. Oprah,
that's true.
School for the girls. It's like they're all. That's why I do applaud when some of the guys legitimately open up schools. LeBron had his issues with, and I don't get when I get. I'm Team Jordan over here, but but I do like what LeBron tries to do for the community wise. I love LeBron James vastly more as a philanthropist than I do a basketball player. And he's a great basketball player. He's legit, but I fall on the side of Michael Jordan. But you know, but you got some snake oil salesmen like Dr. Umar Johnson might be a snake oil salesman. I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
Joe, this is what I say. Joe, he's had millions and millions and millions of dollars in donations in the last 15 years, give or take a year or two.
Yeah.
I'm a blue collar dude who drove a bus and worked in the jail. And I built a house in Africa, and I'm done with it almost in a few months. Like, what game? If I had millions?
Yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying. They separate us. That's like you were saying. Well, all of that stuff that led up to all the history that you gave, you were so vivid and so articulate with it that you gave about the history and how it connects, and then it moves on to connect to that. You had all types of soldiers and things coming back from these wars, black men who were not able to get the homes that they were promised with the GI Bill. We're not able to get things that were promised to them for laying their lives on the ground for this. And what did you do when they get back? What did you do when they get back? You found a way to covertly get drugs into their areas. Then you introduced the welfare programs that separated them from their wives and children. And then talk shit about him about he ain't shit. On top of that. And then you got the feminists on the other side. The feminists over here sitting up here hollering, yeah, man ain't shit. Like knowing that they didn't start chirping up until we started doing civil rights, until these same black soldiers came back from war and thought, you know what, I don't like this. I just been over here more free in this station over in Germany than I ever been over in my own country. So I'm going to come back home and make some changes. They go back home. They start making some changes. That's why I wanted to be in the military for so long, and one of my friends who is a PhD anthropologist, I would just say Garcia, because I don't want to give his whole name. I don't want to blow up his spot over him. Because they were messing with this guy. His research was on prisons, on the prison systems, and he had some brilliant remarks, some brilliant things. He gave me a shout out in his dissertation when he got his PhD, because I did a little research for him. So, look, best friend since high school. He's half white and half Mexican, and he can't stand his white side.
So he got some stories there.
He is militant. He is so militant. But yeah. But he's telling me, he's like, I'm not gonna get tenure. I know I'm not gonna get tenure. I'm like, no, you're gonna get it. They need someone like you. They need to have one radical in there like that where they look good. He's like, nah, I see what they're gonna do. They're gonna have me ride along long enough, and then they're not gonna give me tenure. They're gonna ride me long enough to look good and not give me tenure. But anyway, what I'm saying about this is that the two-pronged attack, of marginalize and minimize the men, get into women's heads. That's been a part of American culture since the beginning, since slavery days. It's the same thing. Give the woman a cushy spot. Put her in the house. Put her in the White House even. Put her in the house. Put her in the house and have her give the illusion that she's leading something. She can boss the children around a little bit. She can warm up the bed. She can go cook the food. She can do all of that stuff. Exactly. She can
brother.
she can wet nurse. We'll let her wet nurse and everything.
Brother said she can warm up the bed.
We'll let her do all that stuff. You know, and Kamala Harris is an exquisite bed warmer. You can tell. Just ask Montel.
Oh man.
And so next thing you know, all of a sudden, you just give them enough. Just give them enough to feel like they're doing something, a little something. And like Brother Lance was saying too, don't be surprised if they give her this, they prop her up. Yay, girl, you go, girl, put the battery in her back and all that. And then all of a sudden go, yeah, it's about time for us to take this battery out her back and dump everything that ever. She might even get blamed for slavery if she get in there. They'll find a way to blame her.
You know what, brother? I'm glad you mentioned that because you mentioned that because I was thinking about this Ukraine thing, and I said because Ukraine is losing, and I said when it's all said and done with, they're not going to blame Biden for it because he's the Manchurian candidate. You know, they're going to say, "Oh, his mental health." They're going to blame the brother Austin. What's his name? The Secretary of Defense. The brother.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I can see it.
Yeah. They're going to blame him. They're going to blame him, and they're going to blame that 4-star Air Force general.
They're putting all their pieces in place. I see what you're saying. Yeah, they're getting all the pieces in place.
Because when he was in that hearing, they asked him, "Do you think Ukraine will win?" And he's, he going into his dramatics. Well, we're giving them everything they can get, and we're going to play them with everything, and they're going to do this, and they're going to call him to the carpet. They're going to call him to the carpet for that. Well, I thought you said they were going to win.
But they knew damn well they can't win. Like that's the crazy part. It's like they already know that, but they want. I see what you're saying.
Thank you, Lloyd Austin. Thank you.
They want to have him. They want to have him on record so they can use it as a sound clip or a visual to go back to saying he told us we could have won.
Yeah.
He up there saying some shit he don't even believe.
Yeah, he doesn't. Because when they asked him, you talking about filibustering, he was like, "Well, you'll see. We're supplying them with everything that they need to use." I'm like, "Oh man, brother, they setting you up."
Exactly, and some country bumpkin was at home. You're like, they really love their hip hop. He's scratching on live TV. He's scratching the record on his own voice. They really love hip hop, don't they?
So he could have been one of the fat boys.
Exactly. Yeah. I think
that's what he sound like. Hold on for a minute. He would have pulled out a little Mr. Microphone. Hip. You don't stop.
Turned his hat backwards.
and knowing them dudes up there, they would have started dancing. Those congressmen and senators, they would have started dancing. They would start, I can do the electric slide.
I can do the electric slide, Did you know that I was a master of popping lap?
There's no way you're going to do the electric slide when you're clenching your butt cheeks. Ain't no retention. Knees touching. Then
they do the worm backwards outside of the room.
They all be in the hallway doing the worm, going down the hallway. You be like, "What the heck is going on here?"
Exactly. Let's get out of here, gentlemen. But yeah, the hit job that they've done on our community and they always talk about the sanctity of marriage and family values and this and that. And then the hit job that they did on black families, But we were implicit. We were the messed up part about it though is we took the bait. We took the bait. Black women took the bait, especially with the feminism things. And if she ever got up there, she will never get up. Kamala Harris will never. If they could fuck her up on live TV by asking her anything that have to do with black men, they will fuck her up. That's all they got to do because she cannot vocally speak up for black men in front of America. She can't do it. She's not allowed. She knows she won't win. And she probably don't want to.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. That's why I said that the narrative is going to be, at least they can't really control the debates and Trump, because Trump is going to say what he's going to say though, but he's still going to play the game to a degree. But the narrative basically, as it relates to the general public, is do not mention anything about her past, as a politician,
on the record.
and if as a record, and the white people who don't vote for her, they're racist, and the black men who don't want to vote for her are misogynistic. That's the narrative that they're going to try to spin.
Yeah,
because they don't have anything. She has no substance.
She was this is my whole thing. I did so many posts about her. Like I did so many. Can you find her with this Where's Waldo ass chick? I'm like, I thought she was in the back. I thought she was a damn pharmacy tech for Joe Biden back there making pills and shit for his ass. I thought she was a pharmacy tech or a nurse. She had to go grab him before he fall off stage and shit. Like, come on, man. Like, they're in a win-win situation with Kamala Harris, because it's like okay, if she wins, we win, so that's a win. But if she don't win, it's another win, because we know we don't have to put and I'm gonna speak like them. We know we don't have to put another black bitch on that stage for another 20 years. Even if she's all black. Trans.
Yeah, they'll go with the trans. They'll go with the trans before they go with her.
As long as it's a white male trans, they'll do it.
Priscilla.
They're like, she's the queen of the desert. She's the queen of the desert, and she's going to Iraq for more oil.
The trans used to be named Paul, but now he's named Priscilla.
No, what's gonna happen is that they're gonna who is it? Look at Joe Biden gonna go trans, and he gonna come back as Jolene. They love Jolene, don't they? They love that song.
And you know what? And you know what's interesting? I wouldn't put it past the people that they wouldn't vote for him either. If he went and got a change, if he walked into a machine and got a complete makeover, and came back and got into politics, some of these people will still vote for him. Looking trans,
true,
they will still vote for him.
Look, I've never seen him and Nancy Pelosi in the same room, so I don't even know if that might be him.
A shapeshifter. What David Icke used to talk about, them shapeshifters.
Mystique.
Wow. The world, the world we your girl, the world we live in.
She a damn X-Man.
Oh man, she was fooling everybody.
But yeah, it's the whole thing. It's like that, like anything to sort of bring back. If Trump wasn't as racially divisive as he is, and I know why he's doing that. I know exactly why he's doing it. He's doing it to win the ignorant racist masses in the U.S. But he doesn't really even have to play that game. That's the part that gets me annoyed, because they're already mad about other shit. They don't give a shit as much about the race stuff anymore. They care about their jobs, and they're losing their comforts and the way of life, and no one, and being even poorer than they already felt that they were. So he came in talking all that good jobs.
They worry about the price of groceries.
Exactly.
I went to the store. I bought 7 items that cost me $100.
Wow. See,
they'd be like, "This is ridiculous." I mean, I'm exaggerating, but I'm saying that's what their issue is. Their issue is more so monetary.
Yeah. Exactly. And But these people keep throwing assists at Trump like he on the basketball court by giving their children puberty blockers and dumb shit like that. Like, your kid don't know whether they want to be an astronaut, a witch, and you gonna make them just like they say anything. I'm a princess. Even Roseanne did an episode where DJ wanted to be a witch for Halloween. If they did the same episode nowadays, they would have put DJ on puberty blockers.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The whole thing,
it is.
It's like we are always like they always have our people, the black people, fighting these worthless, useless fights. Oh, let's go ahead and fight. You know, we so used to being foot soldiers for equality that we'll jump on everybody's equality bandwagon. Oh, you need to be you need to get the right to do that. Like not realizing that they completely taken over our movement. Like,
well, you know those people that Kanye West was talking about. They were the ones that founded the NAACP.
Yeah,
Spengog and these people. Yeah, they were the ones that founded the NAACP. So they use, in other words, they use us like a canary in the coal mine. They say, well, let's send the canary in first, and if they die, yeah, it's like a canary in the coal mine.
Exactly. I saw on a documentary somewhere where they talked about this, where it's like where certain marginalized groups, whether it be people who have a Jewish background or women or this or that, like they'll say if they can't deny the Negroes this, then we could go ask for anything. It's like these children who see somebody outside, a rapper out there handing money out. And they're like, oh, he handing money to niggers? Okay, we going out there and we going to. If he gave that Negro, a $20 bill, I know I'm getting 100.
That was one of the reasons, because at the time of the founding of the NAACP, most of your Jewish people were in the northeastern corner of America, that New York, Boston, Massachusetts, that area of the country. They were saturated. And they were trying to break out of that area, but they knew that they couldn't just go straight into the South. They knew the Gentile whites would not accept them. But they say, hey, if we can use this Negro,
not the Bible Belt.
Yeah, no, the Bible Belt was not going to have them. But they said if we can use these Negro people, because if it's wrong to do it to a Negro, then it would be wrong to do it to us.
There you go.
And they were the ones that founded the NAACP. And that's what Malcolm was hitting when he was talking about in that recording, the grassroots message to the grassroots, because that's where he was really leaning to. And it's interesting. After Malcolm was assassinated, there was a Jewish writer newspaper article said that Malcolm was the #1 anti-Semite at that time frame, 1965. Because he saw the game that was being played, especially with the NAACP and the leadership. Wilkins, he was just like the little guy Roy Wilkins, like the front man that you put out front. But the people who really in control, is the people that Kanye West was talking about. They are the real control. And in this civilization, the small hat, he always stays one step ahead of the Gentile.
Knows the second and third step. Way ahead. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You figured out the next step, and he got it 4 steps ahead of time.
Right.
Yeah. Corralling you off, and you thinking you're making a decision that he already figured out to make for you.
Right, because of the morning of September 11th, Ariel Sharon, he was being interviewed by the BBC. Now, this is even before there was a commission to investigate what happened. And this man is queued up, mic'd up, ready to go as those planes are running into the buildings. And then he's interpreting the events, sitting in the studio saying, America's enemy is our enemy. This is a game that these people play. In fact, the guys who were down there when they were having the firefighters, because Lance, correct me if I'm wrong, New York was having drills that morning, the firefighters, New York firefighters that morning. There was some guys from Israel. They were recording the planes going into the buildings. They were doing a documentary about New York firefighters. So they're queued up, mic'd up, ready to go, and they're watching the planes go into the buildings. They're in the right place watching this situation happen. The guy got his camera and they went back to Israel. And the guy even said that they had to translate it from Hebrew to English. He said, we were there to record the event. Deep politics, deep dive. Deep dive politics, man.
So is it a matter of we were there to record the event, and or did we happen to be there to record the event, or were we there to record the event we understood was going to be there?
Well, not to get too far off the subject, I tend to believe, I'll say this, I believe that the Defense Department has some hand into this, like NORAD, because you and I may want to go perform brain surgery, but that don't mean we can. And I believe that the planes that took off from the airports were not the same planes that hit those buildings. I believe they were switched out. But the only way you can switch them out, you had to switch them out at a military base. You can't switch them out at a commercial base. You can't have commercial flights taking off and you switch them with, because there were people that said, and Lance, you can correct me if I'm wrong, they said the planes that struck the buildings looked like they were military planes.
Yeah, cargo. And the split second before they hit, the well-placed bombs went off. That's what they say. That's what they say.
And who was the guy that had the insurance policy on the building? His name was Larry what?
I don't recall, but yeah.
Larry Silverstein.
There you go. And none of them were in the building that morning when it happened. They got the heads up. They're gone.
And building 7, the smaller building, fell like a pancake, like a controlled demolition. I remember when he said, because that building didn't fall until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I remember he said the building was so messed up and, there's nothing we could say to the building. So we decided to pull the building, and they pulled it. Well, pulling, that's a demolition term, which means that if they demolition the building, that means they had to been in that building, put that stuff in the morning before the building even were hit by anything.
Yeah.
That's what he said in an interview. He said, we decided to pull the building. Because he said a lot of those offices in both towers were like vacant because they had an asbestos problem with those buildings. Because the buildings were built, I think, September the 11th, 1971, I believe.
The same thing down on my finished base, we had some tiles that were asbestos tiles, and we had to get rid of them.
Yeah, we had to get rid of them. So he walked away with a nice little insurance policy. Took out right before the events, he took out a big insurance policy, I think a couple of months before. Nice insurance policy. So he walked away with Mr. Silverstein walked away with some money. But this is the Zionists. Not all Jews are Zionists, and not all Zionists are Jews. This is a partnership. Like Biden, he said, I'm a Zionist when he was quoted saying that. So this is a partnership. This is a collaboration with these people. But one always tried to stay one step ahead of the other because they all using each other. It's just a bunch of people just using each other for their own means and gain. Fun, glory, and material gain.
You're saying it like a loose alliance.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You see, because even Biden said he was a Zionist. And Theodore Herzl, the father of modern Zionism, he hated Jews.
Isn't that something?
He felt they were too soft. He said, why are they waiting for a Messiah? If we want land, we should take it.
That's what they were doing anyway, too, undercover. Playing victim. Yeah.
They hate Theodore Herzl. He hated the father of modern Zionism. In fact, there were rabbis that wrote pamphlets about this dangerous of this Zionism thing before the turn of the 20th century. The history is out there. The history is there. And it just so happens that who is Kamala Harris' husband? The same people that Kia West talked about. Same people. So this is a alliance. You know, this is it's
so
and
funny
Putin, he
because
knows that he knows all this stuff. He knows this stuff too. He knows.
it's funny, even in a stand-up that before Kamala was announced as VP, with the running mate for Biden, I had already in certain stand-ups that Dave Chappelle does, he'll just talk about his regular life. He was talking about hanging out with Gary Newsom and Kamala Harris, and he was talking about before Obama was even before he became the party elect.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about how it wasn't on one of his main stand-ups. He was on like a little side stuff thing where he was just talking about stuff. He was talking about how he was out of the limelight for a while and he was just hanging out. He's starting to go around Hollywood again, starting to go around political figures and stuff again. And he talked about how Kamala Harris put him on the phone with Biden. Well, not Biden, but put him on the phone with Obama, saying, "Hey, our guy Obama, he likes you and likes your comedy, because she's just hanging out. She's hanging out with a celebrity at that time, somebody who could probably help her get some votes later on, and so they're just schmoozing or whatever. And how it's so funny how all of them, I think they went to school together, right? Kamala and Obama.
You mean like high school or
possibility?
Not high school? No. I mean like I have to double check, but they know each other. They have a long-standing partnership. Then she just so happens to be the next in line, and then Gary Newsom, the other one she's hanging out with, is the other one they're talking about now. So they already have their people. They have their players set for a while. They're not going to roll him out. They're not going to roll him out until they want to make their party look really good. They might use her as an intermediary.
Oh, I see what you're saying. A lot of these people were tapped years before. It's just like Skull and Bones. You know, every year they tap X amount at Yale. They tap X amount of males or individuals to be into the group. So they will see somebody. They could spot somebody back in the 70s, back in the 80s, and say, okay, one day we're going to have something big for you. But right now, just keep doing what you're doing. And when the time comes for us to have you come forward, with the time will come. But right now, I mean, I'm sure they're tapping people for the next 20, 30 years right now, people that we never even heard of.
Exactly. Just build your resume right now. We'll grab you later.
They may be trans. They may not be trans.
You just know this is coming. Like when we watch this later on, we're gonna be like, oh, he called it though. You know, they got they got put on in the 2020s and was president by 2030. We ain't seen nothing like it.
We ain't like you said, Gavin Newsom. Yeah, I had forgot about Gavin Newsom. I forgot about that.
Buddies, according to it struck me because I was listening to him talk about. I'm like, this was before Kamala became like she was a running mate with Biden, and he's like, I had to go back and watch it. I was like, I know I heard that name. Okay. So Kamala's telling him about Obama before Obama became the party, who the party chose to run for president. And they're already in like a little inner circle beforehand, before any of them blew up like this. You know what I mean? They had some notoriety, but to have this level,
These people are tapped because they said Obama, he went to one of the top high schools in Hawaii where his tuition was like $30,000-$40,000 a year. His father, his stepfather, Lolo Sotero, was one of the richest men in Indonesia. He was tied in the oil business with the Bush family.
Oh, wait a minute, with the Bushes. Yeah, he used to like, from what I hear, like he used to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he actually is in a picture with George Bush Jr. Senior and junior. Either he used to play around there when George Bush Jr. was a little bit older than him, he was around the family basically.
Right. True that. Because I've
He's
heard that
already around that
he's in
family.
a picture. Yeah, he's in
Yeah.
a picture. Him as a little boy sitting on George Bush Sr. lap, and Lolo Sotero is in the picture too. But you're
Yeah.
correct.
See?
He was around,
Yeah.
from what I understand,
The
he was
family.
around that family.
Yeah. So did they really like? Was that their way to get their next 8 years right there?
I'm sorry, you said what now?
I said like how think about how strange that story is, about how coincidental, quote unquote, that like I know we get into conspiracy territory, but god dang it, that's too many coincidences. Okay, a half African with a white mama. all of a sudden weirdly has this stepdad who's in oil, hangs with the Bushes, and now he's president.
Yeah, and who also was in the oil business.
Exactly. So it's like they have more. These people, they don't. This is my thing about the politicians. This is why I go off on all of them. I go off on all of them. I make fun of all of them, and I talk shit about all of them. And my thing, because it's like this. It's like they are more aligned economically than they are politically and ideologically. That's where they have their real ties to each other, even if it's covert. You'll have people who work in the same industry. They have certain industries that one falls on the side of than the other. The liberals will kind of work in that territory of the Zionist part, and they'll work in terms of all of this fake social work that really doesn't seem to be getting anybody anywhere. Because they're not in the business of fixing things socially. They're in the business of winning elections using that shit. That's the only reason they talk about it, because they're not here for fixing that, because that's what local politics is supposed to be doing. Anyway,
well, I look at them like WWF wrestling. It's like the Ultimate Warrior against Hulk Hogan.
That's what I'm saying. They're all exactly. And then they go and have lunch with each other and all of this stuff, and they laugh. Paul Mooney made a comment a long time ago saying, he said they're the best actors. He said, they go up there, they make their speeches, they do what they do, and then they go to lunch together and congratulate each other on how well their speeches went.
I would probably say that the only slight exception would have been somebody like Trump, he's like the outsider that made his way inside. Trump, you remember that movie, The Aviator, with DiCaprio?
Yeah.
You remember that? He played Howard Hughes. You know what that whole situation was all about, the situation. What was happening after World War II, there were some people in the country that saw that transatlantic flights was going to be a big thing, like flying overseas, like commercial flights. Like you got British Airways, you got Philippine Airlines, you got Korean Air. So they knew that was going to be a big industry, flying overseas, because a lot of technology came out of World War II. Now, Howard Hughes,
telecommunications changed the game. So it shortened the world, so they knew that they had to physically get people to places too. But yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why Howard Hughes had Pan Am, I believe it was. So what was happening was this. It's the situation of the Yankee and the cowboy. The cowboy, he's the one that goes out and conquers the frontier. He goes out there and fights the buffaloes. He fights the Indians. He fights the tiger, the lions, the bears, so and so, so and so. But the Yankee, once the cowboy has secured the frontier, the Yankee comes up behind him and tries to buy up everything. So what you had a situation, you had Howard Hughes, who had an airline, right? He had he's in aviation, So the character, the senator that played Alan Alda's character, he was representing the Rockefeller interests. And what he basically did said, hey, by Hughes being the cowboy, the senators represent the Yankees saying, hey, man, I got some friends who want to get cut into this, your business. And in essence, Hughes said no. You know, I mean, he has shareholders and everything, but he's like, no, I'm not doing that. So then what the trick was to blame Hughes for profiteering off a war, because Hughes
when
was
they all
supposed to make
do.
a plane for, huh?
Yeah. When they all do, I find no. I just like I just hate when they say that, when they call an individual or a group
Mhm.
profiteers, because they all profit off of war and they know they do. But
That,
you're not. You're only allowed to profiteer off of war in a certain way. Yeah.
well, see, that was one of the reasons why they dragged Hughes into that hearing, and they were trying to say that the senator was trying to say, hey, you were profiteering from war. And he was like, hold on, wait a minute, man. He said, I was making a plane like all these other defense contractors make stuff, and the war ended. So he said, I had no control of the war ending. But he said, let's get down to the nitty gritty. We all know why. He said, sir, you know why I'm here. I'm here because you all want my airline, the people that you represent, and I won't sell out to you all. He said, that's why we had that talk and all this other stuff. And the people's like, what? The other people's like, what? And that's why his character, Alan Alda's character, almost collapsed. And that was the end of his political career, because the Rockefellers were trying to buy. See, but Obama, Hillary, and them, they represent Wall Street. They represent the Rockefeller, Citibank, Wall Street interests, Chase Manhattan Bank.
Yeah.
Trump represents the wing of like Hughes, the entrepreneur, the guy who started in a garage and now he has a financial empire. And you have these conflicts, but like I said, Trump is still like, he's like the outsider insider. He's still an insider, but he's a guy that kind of, he's not a career insider. You see what I'm saying? His father made money off of real estate and brothels. You see, that's where he made his money at. And then his son, and one of his sons was a pilot.
His wife makes so much more sense now.
Yeah. You see, so Trump, that's what Trump kind of represents, the entrepreneurship wing.
Yeah. No. I just getting a little jab in there. I was saying Melania Trump makes so much more sense now. We said brothels.
Yeah. Because Trump is the he's kind of like the entrepreneur that made his way in, whereas the Bidens, the Obamas, the Clintons, they represented the Wall Street financial capital interests. That's who they represent. But Trump still knows he still got to play the game. He still got to play that Wall Street game. You see, it's still a game that has to be played. But Trump was at least able to tap into the problems that affects people every day. That's how he was able to have those crowds. Whereas the Obamas and the Hillarys, Clintons of the world, and the Bidens, they talk about democracy and rules-based order and freedom. You never hear them talk about the economy. You never hear them really talk about what affects people on a day-to-day basis, because they have no connection with them. They work for Wall Street interests, just like those politicians when they dragged Howard Hughes into that thing. They work for the Citibank, Chase Manhattan, Rockefeller interests. Hughes was just an entrepreneur. He was just a business. I mean, he had political connections, but he was just basically a businessman. The game of politics. So, Brother Lance. Brother Lance. Uh-oh. Got a message. All right, Joe. Thank you, brother. I guess Brother Lance, Brother Joe, he had to step off. He said he had to go to dinner.
Oh, okay.
So when So when I see somebody like Biden, them, they represent the Wall Street, the financial capital.
Yes.
They don't They don't really care about the American people, man. They care about their portfolios and themselves. Kamala Harris, same way. She don't care.
It's playing their role.
Yeah, it's playing their role.
Wow.
And Trump, even if he gets in again, they're gonna still strong arm him. He ain't gonna be able to do too much.
So as he gets anywhere near it, right?
They're gonna put him on house arrest.
Anywhere near it. So they're gonna call moves into a new town. They're waiting for him. The cops don't want him.
Yeah.
That's what he's gonna do when he get there.
Yeah. They put an ankle brace on him. Say you can't leave your house. Yeah. So you know how that game is played.
Well, you know
all right, Brother Lance, I'm gonna get on out of here, my brother. But thank you for your time, your patience. Thank you to the listeners. They're you know, thank you, Brother Joe. When I hear young brothers like that, it gives me hope, man.
Yeah. Seriously. His cerebral is very vast, mixed in with the sense of humor he has, and his 360-degree way of looking at things, you know. Known him for a long time, and we face to face, you know. And he's a great guy. I love his mind.
You all know each other from New York, right?
No, in Orlando. In a particular job we're working in. Yeah. So yeah, he's fast. It's like that string that you pull on an outfit. You keep pulling it, and it keeps coming off. You know what I mean? So the more you pull, the more you see. He's a heavyweight. You know. So I like that. I like that. And a damn good comedian. I mean, I noticed the comedian. Yeah.
I noticed. Yeah, that's right. He was on before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I like brother like that. It's good to hear from young brothers. It's rare that you hear young brothers get out here and speak that makes sense.
Right. And have an understanding of history beyond their chronological years, and to be able to go around like that. That's why I love good conversation, you know. And a person can't be an idiot and have good conversation. They have to be well read, understand things, and it's just a pleasure and a joy. Like even I'm doing these shows and stuff, and I can't help but, you know, it's an honor to hear a good conversation, a good exchange between people. I grew up hearing from a child conversations that were brilliant, that were beyond my grasp, but I was getting some of it as I got older and understood, would ask questions. My parents would engage me, you know, and so I love that. It's one thing we're missing in our homes these days. You know, you can buy a book and say, okay, buy a book and have a shelf full of dusty books, but good conversation is priceless. That's like putting the car out on the track. You can keep it in the garage all you want, polish it up, take it apart, rebuild the engine and everything, but when you put it on the track, that's a whole different ball game. And that's the old school that I come from, you know, from young. So I was saved in the 60s, you know. I mean, I was born in 63, but 4 or 5, you know, years on up, I was getting little glimpses of the conversation and things that my mother and father were talking about their friends and stuff. And I'd be down there playing with a little toy, a little car, something. I was steady listening. Yes, brother.
Yeah. You can't replace those memories.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so let me run, brother.
Yeah, Raw.
I'm gonna hit the second. I'm gonna get up, and we're gonna do it again, repeat the whole thing all over again, man. It's been a pleasure, man.
Yes, sir. Brother, thank you. I love your banners, brother. Your banners are so spot on.
Thank you, brother. You know, I took a little time on it, walked away, did this, and you got to come up, you know, get the idea and have something in there, you know. Like I got the little target on Trump. I got a little money in front of a body which represents Kamala after dark, you know. Is
this Photoshop? Did you use Photoshop?
No, I use a little AI. I use real photos, and it's Corel, which is a step down they consider from Photoshop. Yeah, but Corel, look, Corel is like
not bad for Corel.
Like, yeah. I can do better, you know, but I have a certain style I do. And you kind of know one of my banners, even though I don't even have my logo on there, but you know, I see them in my head and I go after. It's not like, well, let me think about. Nah, I see it in my head, you know, and I got to get the components together. And sometimes it's like something will pop in my head and say, okay, let me add this, let me add that in.
you know. But I have my own little formula way of doing things. You know, there's always got to be a funny element in there.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely it, man. those banners, bro, they get me every time. Like, wow. Yeah, sometimes I use Corel for like video. Huh?
You notice how I spelled her first name? You caught that? Kamala Harris?
I saw that. Yeah. It's a Arginine pit. Let me get on out of here. All right, brother Lance. Take care, brother. Thank you for your time and your patience, brother.
Thank you, brother.
All right, brother.
Take care, brother. Thank you so much.
Right.
Peace.
You too.
All right.
Peace, brother.
Yeah. Take care, everybody. Thank you for coming on through. I want to create this rhythm and have these good conversations every single night. And it's beyond me. You know, even if I'm a little beat, the conversation has to go on because these are classics. That's how we did it the first time around. And this is how we're going to do it around this time. Same way. And the good times are coming. Like I said, guaranteed. Good classic shows that you won't. I mean, it's going to be dope. I can't wait. I'm going to live past 100 because I know this is going to be that good. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. It's 3:10 a.m. here in West Africa, in Ghana. And I'm going to get up soon, and we're going to do it again. But I have a few things to do early in the day. Thanks for coming here. Thanks for coming around. I don't know exactly what we're going to talk about tomorrow, but it will happen. It will come to me. And having a little surprise tomorrow coming if everything works out fine. So you all have a good night. Thank you so much. Peace.